Good evening and welcome to the April 27th, 2021 regular school board meeting, which I now call to order. The invocation this evening will be given by Pastor Eric Schoenbarger of Elevated Church in Pinellas Park. Following the invocation, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem, which will be performed by the St. Petersburg High School Pitchforks under the direction of Choral Director David Lawhead. Would you please stand?
Heavenly Father, it's such an honor to come before you today and just ask for just your wisdom to be in this room, Lord. I know that there's already much wisdom in this room, and I know you can add even more. I want to give thanks to you for every student, Lord, that is just present in the school system, Lord, and the community that stands behind them and the resources that have been given to just further their education, Lord. And I pray, Lord, your blessing upon them, and I pray your blessing, Lord, along the entire, all the teachers, Lord, and support staff, facility workers, God, all the administrators, Lord, everyone involved in this process, God. And tonight, Lord, as we just seek your face, I would ask that you would just pour out your blessing upon this meeting, and that there would just be just a wisdom in here on how to use the money properly, God, and how to allocate funds, God, and how to honor people that have served you, God, and all of those things be in it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Schoenbarger. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bells bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
Good. And again, thank you, Pastor, for being here. And it was an excellent job by the Pitchforks. Thank you, Choral Director David Lawhead. In Pinellas County Schools, we believe in teaching the whole child and work to enhance and extend every student's learning experience by offering a wide variety of after-school and extracurricular activities. One of those is a Greek club at Highland Lakes Elementary. Let's meet the students and teachers who gather after school to learn and share this wonderful language.
Phi, He, Psi, Omega. So the purpose of this is not a classroom, this is not a daily activity, this is an after-school fun activity. And so the purpose is for them to love to learn it. I mean, it's great sharing my own culture and my own language. Criollo. So they were very motivated, very involved, very engaged. So, and what I was really impressed with this group is that not only, I mean, the Greek language or the Greek alphabet is very different from the Latin American alphabet. So they were even reading and learning the alphabet. They made such an effort to read the words. And as you can see, when I would show the words, when I would show the picture and then show the words, they got it right away. Nistazo, nistazo.
I like the colors because we did like little movements with them, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
I wanted them to learn to love it first. And the reason we play games is for them to have that joy. Because once you have that joy, then it's like learning to read. Once you love to learn to read, you're going to continue reading. And I think it showed. For now.
You learn a lot, and it's just an awesome environment to learn in. Oh yeah, I love it. We passed a Greek church one time, and there's a bunch of people outside. I just yelled Yasu to everyone. It was awesome.
Kyriaki. Bravo, bravo. What I would like for them to get out of this is the love of language and learning other cultures and expanding their education and their horizons. And I think a lot of them are very career-minded and interested in pursuing new things.
When I grow up, I want to go and travel many places, so I thought it would be fun to start learning the language. Plus, I thought it would be good for a job to know many languages. Since I speak English and I speak Spanish, I thought it would be good to start learning Greek too.
I do think the after-school programs are tremendous programs. And it's here in Highland Lakes, we have Spanish. I do the Spanish, and I started now the Greek. Anything that we bring, kids want to participate in. It's gratifying. I'm proud. Yeah, I'm proud of them. I enjoy coming to teach them because they are so engaged. Portokali. Σου αρέσει το πορτοκάλι. Το χρώμα.
That's great. It's a wonderful opportunity for the students to be able to participate in that after-school club. All right, we're going to have the introduction of our professional and community organization representatives. Isabella Mascarenhas, our public information officer, will do that for us.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. From the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Nancy Velarde, President. Joining us virtually from the Pinellas Arts for a Complete Education Coalition, ACE, are Rondi Hilliso, Associate Director, and Brenda Maurer-Danowitz, ACE member. Today, we have a presentation from the Student Rights and Responsibility Committee. Please welcome Claudia Johnson and Matthew Cortez from St. Petersburg High School and their principal, Darlene Lebo.
Good, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know. Is Matthew? I'm not sure if.
We're not seeing faces, and we would like to, there we go.
There we go. Thank you. I'm not seeing my partner, but I can just.
Claudia with us.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What happened? Hello?
Hello, I think.
Matthew is not, I don't see him.
All right, so why don't you go ahead.
Okay, I can just start. Yes. So good afternoon, Chairperson Cook, Vice Chairperson Long, Honorable School Board officials, and Superintendent Dr. Grego. I'm Claudia Johnson, and I'm our Student Body Executive Vice President. And today I'll present to you the state of our academics and extracurriculars, and as well as some updates on our renovation process for St. Pete High. So during my time at St. Pete High, many different aspects of the school and its environment have made my high school experience amazing. But the things that I am most proud of and grateful for are the staff's consistent dedication to our academics and overall student success. I believe that in order for students to succeed, a school must provide many avenues for a student to grow and maximize their potential. And St. Pete High's strong focus on academics and the wide variety of clubs, excelling sports teams, and our new amazing campus improvement plans will continue to better student life and improve our overall student success. So I'm proud to say that St. Pete High embodies everything needed for a positive school environment. So at St. Pete High, the students are provided with many different ways to discover their post-high school paths. So programs such as AVID and the Construction Technology Magnet, as well as hospitality and tourism programs, AP dual enrollment, and the International Baccalaureate program, each allow a wide variety of classes that are tailored to guiding students towards what they would like to achieve in the future. And we also have business education courses that offer students ways to earn industry certifications, which help support them later on when entering the workforce to maximize their time spent in high school by also earning college credits. And while this year has seen a drastic change from traditional learning environments due to COVID-19, St. Pete High's administration, teachers, staff, parents, and students have worked together beautifully to listen, address, and overcome the challenges that this year has brought to our community, as well as keeping the safety of each other a top priority. And although COVID-19 has affected our lives in a huge way, St. Pete High has continued to produce the same academic excellence. And some examples being, we had 4 National Merit finalists this year, 5 National Merit commended students. We had a Coca-Cola scholarship recipient and seniors accepted into top colleges such as the University of Pennsylvania, Duke, Georgetown, Tulane, Georgia Tech, and many University of California schools, including the University of Los Angeles, the University of South California, and the University of California, Irvine, as well as the University of Florida and Florida State. And then due to COVID-19, the student participation in extracurricular activities at St. Pete High, such as clubs and service organizations, has shifted greatly. And as learning became more virtual, the health of the community became the primary focus on everyone's mind. Clubs and service organizations developed new ways to keep members engaged and to be mindful of not spreading COVID-19. And this turned into an opportunity for our students to develop and create creative ways to hold virtual meetings and get-togethers that continue to provide service to the community in a safe way, such as developing virtual opportunities or more individual opportunities, such as writing letters to the elderly, hosting masked and socially distant community cleanups at local parks, beaches, and by hosting different canned food drives to support local shelters and community outreach organizations. So the next thing I would like to touch on is the different achievements we've had in our sports department. So St. Pete High, we're still on track to be prepared for a normal school year in the fall, and our $32 million renovation project has been positioned to be completed for the start of 2021-2022 school year. And this renovation will have a brand new cafeteria, new art rooms, and a home ec room. And there are also other renovations coming to other major areas of the campus, including the front of the historic building. And then some sports achievements are our Green Devils basketball team finished with the 13-7 record, leaving them as the 3rd seat in our district. And the ace senior Connor Crosby is leading the entire county in innings, pitchland, strikeouts, and holds the perfect field percentage. And then in basketball, our boys team reached the Region 3 quarterfinals and missed the semifinals by a single 3-pointer. And our girls team showed an impressive 4-2 record against other teams in our district. So, and although this year was hindered by the pandemic, St. Pete High has made it abundantly clear that we are still here to dominate. And although this is my last year, I'm proud of the progress I have seen this year and the continuation of what this school will become. And it was nice to present my school to you, as I'm very proud of it. So I'd like to close with, we are St. Pete SPHS, Scholarship, Pride, Honor, and Service. Thank you.
Very good, and thank you. And thank you to Principal Lebo for being with us also. You did a fine job filling in and handling both sides of the information that you've given us, and we appreciate that. All right, we will now move on. Dr. Grego, are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments to the agenda, Madam Chair.
All right, fine. Then I will take a motion to adopt the agenda as written. Okay, Mr. Dudley, and a second by Mrs. Kane. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And it will pass 6-0. Is Mrs. Long on with us? Okay. Mrs. Long is joining us via the internet this May. So when we hear her vote, it'll be a 7-0. So
Yes, I
There
vote
you-
yes.
there you go. Okay, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move to the special order. The presentation of the proclamation acknowledging the contribution of our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week, which is May 3rd through the 7th of 2021. Do we have a motion to accept the proclamation? Motion. Okay, Mrs. Kane, was that, Mrs. Edmond? Okay, and do we have a second? Mrs. Kane made second. All righty, Dr. Grego.
Yes, Madam Chair, and to the school board, this is perhaps one of the most joyous board meetings because we get to recognize our employees. I'm going to try to tie 4.1, which is the proclamation, to the finalists of the Teacher of the Year and then our support staff. So you don't have to keep coming back to me. I'm going to just try to tie all of those. And then Ms. Texel is going to orchestrate the presentation of those as we have some really special guests. But, you know, as I reflect over this year, and believe it or not, as we head into the last month of the school year, it's without a doubt been a very memorable school year. But it's also a time to stop and reflect and acknowledge and to thank our teachers, our support staff, all of our support employees. And this evening, we're going to present some of those that are representing those wonderful teachers and support employees throughout. And I always want to emphasize that the Teacher of the Year and the finalists and the Support Employee of the Year, they are the representatives of all of our employees. And it's not about them, it's about them and us. And I just want to say thank you to what they do. Thank you for our principals who take the time to nominate the employees, but it's more than just a nomination of one person. It's really a recognition of a class of individuals that are truly remarkable and have certainly shown their true colors this year. So with that, Ms. Texel, thank you so much for presenting these 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3.
Thank you very much, Dr. Grego, and good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. I really am honored to be here this evening to acknowledge the wonderful teachers that we do have in Pinellas County Schools as we recognize Teacher Appreciation Week that will be held next week, starting May 3rd. And although those of us working in our district truly know how vital our teachers are to the academic and social success of our students, I think the world realized this year how vital our employees are to the well-being of our children. And throughout the past year, our teachers went above and beyond to keep our students connected to their learning. So kudos to all of our educators out there. And our communities will be taking time next week to recognize our teachers in a variety of ways, such as their cities are recognizing them at their council meetings and their city meetings. We have lots of different municipalities doing that next week, and we want to say thank you to them. Businesses continue to provide giveaways for our teachers, which I know our teachers appreciate. And, you know, residents simply saying thank you to our teachers. A simple thank you goes a long, long way. So it is my pleasure this evening, in addition to our proclamation, I do have Miss Sarah Painter here with us. She is our Pinellas County Schools Teacher of the Year, and who will share a message to our teachers in the district. So, Sarah Painter.
Welcome.
Hi. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my colleagues. It's always an honor to be considered the voice of teachers. I want to begin by thanking the board and Pinellas County Schools for making some tough decisions this year. Your tenacity to continue to do what's best for students has not gone unnoticed. You have pioneered uncharted territory by opening schools and allowing us to create a new normal. As a result, relationships were built and strengthened within our schools and communities, which I'm certain will be leading to academic success. As many of you know, I'm a runner and I refer to running analogies when I'm asked to speak about my work. Well, if this year were a race, we're in the final stretch. In fact, I think we've rounded the bend and we have our eyes on the finish line. And it's in that moment of a real race that I realize I can do this. All my hard work is going to pay off. However, I don't think anyone would disagree that this race is quite unlike any race we've ever been in before. It's kind of like training for a race in the flat state of Florida and then being told right before it begins that the race will be held in the mountains of Georgia. We did not plan for this. We did not prepare for this. We quickly realized we may need to change our approach. We have hills and elevation that we've never encountered before. We feel unsure as we round each one because we have no idea what's on the other side. But we press on because we know we hold the skill sets that have equipped us to adapt to this. Teachers, we're almost there. Keep your eyes on the finish line and remember we can do this. The lessons we have learned this year will forever shape and change the way we approach teaching for the rest of our lives. And what does this mean for our students? Well, we have raised and educated resilient scholars this year. They've watched us persevere with a growth mindset, which has sent the message that this is hard, but we can do it. These future leaders of our communities are now armed with the ability to quickly adapt to change, persevere through hardships, and maintain a positive attitude. And that, in my book, is worthy of a first-place medal in this race we're running. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think you summed it up very, very appropriately with everything that people have gone through. And we thank you as well as all of our teachers.
Okay.
Are you ready for us to read the proclamation?
Yes.
All right. Mrs. Hine, would you please read the proclamation?
I'm pleased to. Thank you. Proclamation, Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas teachers open children's minds to the magic of ideas, knowledge, and dreams. And whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship. And whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors. And whereas great teachers make great public schools. And whereas teachers continue to influence us long after our school days are only memories, now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby proclaim the week of May 3 through 7, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week and Tuesday, May 4, 2021 as Pinellas County Schools Teacher Appreciation Day. We urge that all observe this week by taking the time to recognize and acknowledge the impact teachers have had on all of our lives.
All right, well, we have a motion made by Mrs. Edmond and seconded by Mrs. Kane. All in favor of adopting the proclamation for the Teacher of the Year? For our Teacher Appreciation Week from May 3rd through the 7th of 2021. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And it passes 7-0. See, you made an impression on me. I wanted to make it the proclamation about the Teacher of the Year. So, but thank you, and thank you to everyone. We'll now move on to the next item, and that's going to be the recognition of the semifinalists and finalists for the 2020-2021 Support Employee of the Year recognition. And I believe that we're going straight to, okay, Ms. Texel?
So, and let me correct it. I think we're doing the Teacher of the Year recognition next.
The second one was.
Oh, yes, we are.
4.2?
Yes, we
Yep.
are.
4.2.
Okay. I was going to do a switch, but I think we're good.
Recognition of the finalists for the 2020-2021 Teacher of the Year
Perfect.
recognition
So,
program.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am honored to present to you this evening our finalists for our Pinellas County Teacher of the Year, as well as our Emerging Teachers of the Year, and we have two of them here with us. But I first wanted to take a moment to thank our professional development department under the leadership of Mark Narkier, and our strategic communications department under the leadership of Beth Herendine for the work they did in organizing this event this year. The event was held virtually in January, and it really was a fabulous event, and just wanted to say, again, going above and beyond this year to make it work. Just wanted to thank those two departments. We do have our finalists that we are recognizing here tonight, and they are joining us virtually. So we are so glad to see them, and so I am going to call off each person. You could give us a wave, but we are so glad that you are joining us virtually this evening so we could recognize you at our meeting. So we have Joycelyn Avery Wright. She is a supported varying exceptionality teacher at Nina Harris Exceptional Student Center. We have Nicole Caltabalata, a 5th grade teacher, 74th Street Elementary. Karen Collier, 5th grade teacher, Leela Davis Elementary. Heather Hull is a social studies teacher at Oak Grove Middle School who was unable to attend with us this evening, but I wanted to recognize her. Allison Gerardo, a 5th grade teacher, Oakhurst Elementary. Mark Powers, social studies teacher, Clearwater High School. Jennifer Reddick, 4th grade teacher, Fairmount Park Elementary School. Gregory Stewart, technical ed teacher, Eastlake Middle School. And Kelly Webb, science teacher, Palm Harbor University High School. Once again, congratulations to all of our finalists, and we are just very, very glad to have you with us, and we could recognize you this evening virtually. I did want to recognize once again Sarah Painter as our Teacher of the Year. She has already submitted her application for the State Teacher of the Year program. We are anxiously awaiting to hear any further updates on that, as hopefully she will be a finalist for that award, but I'm sure as soon as we know, we will share that with you as well. I also wanted to just point out congratulations to not only these teachers that we are recognizing tonight, but once again to all of our teachers for the work that they do. So moving to our Emerging Teachers of the Year, and our guests that we do have with us this evening, one represents our elementary teachers and one represents our secondary teachers. And emerging teachers are those teachers in their 2nd or 3rd year of teaching who have shown outstanding skills early in their career. And as I said, both of our emerging teachers are here with us today, and I have asked them to share a few words with you on their experiences as early career teachers. So our first one is Courtney Chavez. She is a 4th grade teacher at James B. Sanderlin Pre-K 8 IB School.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you so much for having me tonight. Again, congratulations, Sarah and Patricia, and all the Teacher of the Year nominees. It still amazes me that I have received the Emerging Teacher of the Year award, and I am part of such an amazing group of educators. My school home is at James B. Sanderlin in 4th grade. I am honored that my administration nominated me for this award. I thank them, my supportive staff, and my students for always encouraging me to be the best educator that I can be. This award has reminded me of my why and has reassured that being in the classroom alongside my students is exactly where I should be. I am truly convinced that I was put on this earth to be in a classroom, and I feel privileged to go to a job that I love every day. In my classroom, I refer to my students as teammates, something I learned from my inspiring internship teacher, Allie Owens. As I reflect on the past couple school years, I am overwhelmed with the blessing of being a part of a team much bigger than the one in my room. My Sanderlin team and the Pinellas County School Teacher team. We are all working towards one challenging yet rewarding goal: to motivate and support kind, lifelong learners that will have a positive impact on the world. We all know too well that this year has been full of challenges, but I prefer to think of it as a year all about grace and understanding. I asked some of my 4th grade students to define the word grace. These were some of their responses. Grace is giving people just a little bit of room. Give people a chance, be kind. Give others mercy, be forgiving. Be caring. Don't judge and encourage one another. To all my fellow colleagues that are just starting out their teaching career, or the veteran teachers that I aspire to be, give yourself grace. Show your teammates and your staff grace, because you got this, or as my class would say, you are incredible, just like Hulk. You have strived to have a class of your own and have students to call you their teacher. Remind yourself that you need them as much as they need you, whether that is online or with a mask on. Don't lose sight of your why, the reason you became an educator in the first place. The school days can be long, fighting tech issues or picking even kickball teams, but somehow the year feels short. Cherish your time with the kids in front of you. You never know if you were the cheerleader that they needed or the role model to look up to. It is always that extra something that makes the biggest impact, such as participating in recess, asking your students what they did over the weekend, sharing with them your personal glows, and even places where you can grow. They say that one teacher can make all the difference. Be that teacher. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. And let's finish this crazy year out strong like the amazing team that we are. Thank you.
And thank you. And congratulations.
And our secondary Emerging Teacher of the Year is Patricia Wing. She's a business education teacher at Johns Hopkins Middle School.
And welcome to you as well.
Being celebrated as Emerging Teacher of the Year this year has been tons of fun, I have to admit. And through that fun, when we had the celebration of, busting into my classroom during my sixth period, and, really all of that energy and the positiveness of becoming Emerging Teacher of the Year reminded me about how much it means to develop relationships through positive reinforcement, through celebrating small successes, through, just having a positive energy, because when you build those bonds with the kids and our scholars, we all get encouraged a little bit more. And the longer I live, the more I am completely convinced that education is the key to creating really critical things in the community when people are impaired in any way. So when I've earned this award, I just feel privileged and honored that you'd even have me to speak to you and to look at you all in the face, even to be in person is something that we haven't been able to do much of this year. But thank you. Thank you for recognizing that there are new teachers out there that are doing great things. And there's experienced teachers just doing amazing things in the classroom. Because, when we have those scholars in the classroom and we can I'm sure many schools do it, but I know that at Johns Hopkins, we prepare these kids in ways that there's no data. There's no data to put on paper, but those preparations give them self-esteem. It gives them self-respect so that we can pry open those minds and those mindsets so that they're able to, get that idea in their head that there are no limits and that they can be successful, because that's when true learning really begins. And then when they start learning, then we start learning, and that's a great cycle. That's just a really fun cycle. So, teaching's hard. That's what I've learned. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. It's hard. And I've done other professions. This is hard. And, it's not for sissies. And that's okay, because we do hard things, just like Sarah says. And you need to find joy, and we do hard things. And I'm just so very grateful that the universe and God has brought me into the teaching profession at this time in my life so I can continue to, help mold and just create a better culture in my little portion of the world. And we'll see how it grows.
Thank you and All right, so now we will move on to the semifinalists and finalists for the Support Employee of the Year Recognition Program.
Yes, and finally, I am honored, truly honored, to present to you this evening our semifinalists and finalists for Pinellas County Support Employee of the Year. Some are here with us in person, and while others are joining us virtually. And it was, as with our Teacher of the Year recognition, our PD and our Strategic Communications departments really went above and beyond for this group as well to put on a fabulous virtual event that was held on January 8th of this year. And again, the event was just another way our PCS community came together to make sure these employees were recognized, so we appreciate that. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize that all of our support employees for the work that they do. We were able to present a proclamation to you all at the November 10th board meeting where we recognized Support Professionals Day that was held on November 18th. So we're just glad to continue that recognition. So our semifinalists and finalists being recognized tonight, we do have, as I said, some in person and some online. So for our clerical category, we have Yolanda Simmons, who was our finalist, and she is Secretary 3 at Boca Ciega High School. We have Betty Newsom, bookkeeper at Thurgood Marshall Fundamental Middle School, and Brandy Newton, Secretary 3 at Seminole Middle School. So we congratulate all of those in our clerical category. In our food service category, the finalist was Pamela Clark. She is the food service specialist at Douglas Jamerson Elementary School. Allison Dexter Boyer was a semifinalist, a food service assistant at Palm Harbor Middle School. And we also wanted to recognize Thomas Mungle, food service manager at Safety Harbor Middle School. Congratulations. From our maintenance, safety, health, and transportation, very proud to have Brandy Mackey here with us this evening. She is the finalist. She's a licensed practical nurse at Sutherland Elementary. And our two semifinalists in that category is Penny Bouchard, school security officer at Cypress Woods Elementary. And Amelia Angarano is a licensed practical nurse at Nina Harris ESE Center. Congratulations. And in our plant operations category, Dorothy Skonecki, she is our head plant operator at Blanton Elementary School. Congratulations, she was our finalist in this category. Diane Adams is a plant operations specialist at Richard L. Sanders ESE Center. And Alfonso Hartley, who is our head plant operator at Azalea Middle School. Is Alfonso online? There he is, and congratulations on your retirement, Mr. Hartley. So he is joining us. We had to track him down, but we are so glad to have you with us so we could officially recognize you this evening. And our final we'll give them a round of applause too. And our final category is classroom support. And our two semifinalists are Jeanette Rios, is a paraprofessional at Anona Elementary School, and Tammy Risk is a medical behavioral assistant at Azalea Elementary School. The finalist in this category was Tu Tran. He is a bilingual assistant at Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Elementary School. And Mr. Tran is our Pinellas County Schools Support Employee of the Year. And he is with us here this evening and to share a few words on behalf of our support employees. So congratulations, Mr. Tran.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am extremely honored to represent our county in the School-Related Employee of the Year program. I also want to give thanks to the staff at Rawlings Elementary, Ms. Moore, Ms. Morehouse, Dr. Nguyen, my ESOL team, and everyone I have worked with. You guys are my second family. Finally, I want to take this chance to recognize the significance of every support staff in our county. You are the bridge that connects parents, schools, and students. You are the vehicle that allows students to reach new heights. You provide the sustenance that our students require in their daily life. You are everything our schools require to operate effectively. You are the unsung heroes. And for that, I want to share this honor with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations.
And once again, congratulations to all of our teachers, support staff who are recognized this evening, and we truly appreciate the time that you gave us this evening to do this recognition.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. And thank you for keeping me on track. All right. Our last item is the recognition of Dr. Michael A. Grego and Demoris Lee by the Martin Luther King Jr. Foundation of Tarpon Springs. Mrs. Long, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Would you
Yes,
please
I
introduce
am.
this item?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would you please introduce this item for us?
Yes, Reverend Smith is going to present Dr. Grego and Demoris Lee with a plaque, I believe, for their wonderful leadership with our Martin Luther King Foundation. Dr. Grego has been there for the past 2 years, and Demoris Lee has been there, I believe, for both. They just do a wonderful job, and the city of Tarpon, the Martin Luther King Foundation, is just so excited that they participate. So, Reverend Smith, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Chairperson Cook, to Vice Chair Long, members of the Pinellas County School Board, Superintendent Dr. Grego, I thank you for this opportunity to be able to do this presentation today. The Dr. Martin Luther King Event and Scholarship Foundation is responsible for establishing, organizing, and presenting events associated with the celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King in Tarpon Springs. The foundation has carried out these duties for over 25 years. In addition, the foundation, a Florida nonprofit organization, has awarded scholarships to Pinellas County school students for over 20 years. During such time, we have awarded almost 40 scholarships. I believe we reached number 39 just a couple of months ago. In addition, the foundation has made education one of its top priorities. In the past, the foundation has also sponsored many events, races and marches, breakfasts, concerts, and parades. But with the event of COVID-19 this year, as we all know, we had to do things differently. And today, on behalf of the entire Dr. Martin Luther King Event and Scholarship Foundation, I want to recognize Dr. Michael Grego and Mr. Demoris Lee for their contribution in our virtual event that we did this year. Dr. Grego, I don't know whether you want to come down or how we're going to do this. Demoris Lee, I believe he's here. As Ms. Long has already said, Dr. Grego and Mr. Lee has been participating with us for the last 2 years. And this year, going virtually, Dr. Grego did a presentation where you incorporated the Unity March, which was a walk, which was right on time, adding some movement in the middle of the video. It was great that you did that for us, and we appreciate it. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Event and Scholarship Foundation Incorporated, presented to Dr. Michael Grego for your dedication and support of the 2021 Tarpon Springs Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Virtual Birthday Program presentation. Reverend Milton Smith, President, Carmen Lake, Chairperson, Eileen Long, Co-Chair. Thank you so much, Dr. Grego, for all what you do for us. Mr. Demoris Lee, for the last 2 years, have been our MC. Of course, last year was able to do it in person. but this year virtually. And you've done an excellent job by switching from in-person to virtually, not being there to introduce everyone, but yet you're introducing everyone and added commentary. It was great. So we really appreciate you. And it reads the same as Dr. Grego's certificate, except it says as MC of the 2021 Tarpon Springs event. Thank you so much for all you've done to help make this a success. And lastly, I want to thank Ms. Eileen Long for all that she does to help us in getting the schools involved in this. She always helps us to make whatever we do educational for the students in North Pinellas County. So we thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this tonight. Thank you both so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here, and congratulations to both of you. And I know Mrs. Long does work on this quite a bit, and we appreciate her efforts that go into it as well. Okay, Mrs. Simonetti, do we have any speakers to agenda items?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have no speakers for specific agenda items.
All righty, very good, thank you. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve? Okay, Mr. Dudley made a motion to approve. Second? Okay, Dr. Carr made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say
Aye.
no. It passes 7-0. Thank you very much. We'll now move to our non-consent item, request denial of the charter application for Excelsior Prep Charter School of Pinellas. Do we have a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation? Dr. Carr and Ms. Kane. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members, I know that Ms. Hayes presented this item to you last Tuesday at a board workshop, and I want the public to know that you went through the application and also the evaluation of that application is very extremely thoroughly. And but for the sake of the public, I do want Ms. Hayes to review the outcomes of that evaluation and the recommendation for denial.
And thank you and welcome.
Good evening and thank you. As you are aware, the Charter School Office received an application for Excelsior Charter School, Excelsior Prep Charter School of Pinellas. It is a K-5 model specifically targeting economically disadvantaged students with a mission to provide Spanish language fluency as part of its program design. As part of the application process, we use the evaluation instrument that is provided by the Department of Education. It is the required document to review charter school applications, and it contains 22 sections of criteria that encompass everything from mission, program design, student services, budget, governance, etc. We had 15 different departments throughout the district reviewing the application, and over 20 different individuals provided feedback on that criteria in the evaluation instrument. For that application, it met 6 of the standard areas, partially met in 10 areas, failed to meet in 3 areas, and 3 of the areas did not apply to that particular application. Particularly in the areas that failed to meet, those were program design, curriculum, management, and staffing. And of the areas that partially met, many were in response to student services and exceptional student education. So based on those areas that failed to meet and partially met, we are recommending denial of the charter application.
Thank you. Board members, are there any comments? No? Okay. I want to thank you for not only you, but for all of the staff that reviews these. You do go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and as a result, we're very confident in the findings that you have, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
At this point, we have a motion by Dr. Carr. We have a second by Mrs. Kane to accept the superintendent's recommendation to deny the charter application of Excelsior Prep Charter School of Pinellas. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And it passes 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, we will now move to items presented by the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to school board members. I did send out last Friday, but just to inform the public too, that the U.S. Department of Education did approve the state's waiver for the requesting the accountability measures to be taken, and you certainly have that information. That led to the emergency order that I did review with this board. However, I do want to also update everyone that the FSA assessments are underway. Grades 4 through 10 FSA writing and grades 3 reading began in early April and end this Friday. Those are the two that are usually administered early. I do want to say that things are going very, very smoothly and very well. I'm very proud of our students, our parents, and overall. Overall, we have a test, our test rates are well over 90% right now, and so we're just going to continue to work and continue to express that these assessments are going to be used for diagnostic purposes and for purposes that we want to continue to demonstrate and to assist our students not only through the summer, but also through next school year. I want to thank the board and the public in itself. We had some wonderful celebrations this week. Last week we had Eisenhower, the 50th anniversary and rededication. Annette Wilson, the Principal Wilson, did a remarkable job with her faculty and staff and former principals of that school to just celebrate. And it does bring a lot of the same feelings that you heard from our teachers and support employees this evening. Also want to thank Principal Jones for the grand reveal and Mr. Herbeck for the work that was done at Melrose Elementary School. Truly a transformational project. I mean, that school is one of the best, most beautifully designed schools that I've ever seen. So thank you to everyone, and also thank you to the family of Sally Davis Media Center with their daughter Harriet Blakely, who attended, and the family came down. It was a very special touch to dedicate the school and the many exhibits, and also the community center that I know those who were in attendance were, and if you weren't able to make it, I encourage you to go through that community center, because it really does dedicate the history of the Melrose community. So I also want to thank our business partners. Burlington Stores recently gave High Point Elementary School $5,000, and sometimes even through this year we forget those business partners are struggling too themselves, but still reaching out to our schools to try to celebrate public education and certainly support the education. Also try to add in my comments every board meeting just some really positive things with our students. Our students are remarkable. Recently our students won the Congressional App Challenge, something I would never apply for, but Palm Harbor University High Juniors, Eosh Pai and Krish Asnani and Alex Kranius. I'll get those three names if you have to say them really quick together. But they created this app called this Rent-a-thon for the Congressional App Challenge, and the students won the Florida's 12th Congressional District and being recognized now nationally. And this Rent-a-thon is one of 300 winning apps from over a pool of over 3,000 that were submitted. And the app, what it does is it allows teenagers to rent out photography and digital equipment from their friends and neighbors. Instead of buying it always, you only use it for a short period of time. So it is taking off. So congratulations to the innovation and really the intelligence of our students and teachers. It was mentioned before with St. Pete High, but as I want to thank Al Bennett for another very successful season, our flag football. Congratulations to all of the Pinellas conference champions in our spring sports. You know, we are going to continue on with a lot of the same things in sports, and athletics is certainly a major part of it, as you heard earlier, clubs and other extracurricular activities. But St. Pete High won the flag football conference championship. Also Eastlake High won track, boys track, Countryside High, tennis, boys, St. Pete High, and the girls of St. Pete High. And lacrosse and the boys was Eastlake High, and the girls were also Eastlake High, and baseball, Palm Harbor University, and softball, Palm Harbor University. So congratulations to them, but really the congratulations this year goes out to all of the people who participated and just got out there and and truly got engaged with other schools and other athletes. My last comment is to say thank you again for the Teacher Appreciation Week, and really we can't say thanks enough, but Paula mentioned it. I do want to thank our Pinellas Educational Foundation. They truly stepped up this year with the teacher awards and the support staff awards. And also, as she mentioned, there are other businesses and municipalities that are out there really wanting to pitch in, and we're asking them, and they're not saying no. Clear Channel and the Pinellas Educational Foundation are providing billboards throughout the county honoring teachers. PTAs will be doing their part in recognizing the teachers in school events. And several of the cities, they're taking issue this year, and several of the cities are doing their own proclamations of appreciation. Clearwater, Seminole, Tarpon Springs, Treasure Island, Oldsmar, Gulfport have all done those proclamations so far. And they're inviting the Teacher of the Year of their schools in those cities, and that's what's so great about this, is it's a grassroots effort. And I encourage everyone in this community over the next several weeks, and really over the next month, the last month of schooling, to truly reach out and thank a teacher and thank an employee, a support employee too. And that concludes my comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And items introduced by the school board attorney.
I have nothing to introduce today. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. Board members, do we have anybody to introduce any items? No? All right. Okay, Mr. Corbett, Dr. Corbett, do we have any requests?
No, Madam Chair, I did not record any requests tonight.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we will then have our school board evaluation after we adjourn the meeting, and also have our public participation. Once that's finished, we'll do our evaluation. So if there is no objection, this meeting is adjourned. So we will now move to the public participation, and before we get started with that, I would like to read. Members of the public have 3 opportunities during our meeting, but we are down now to public participation, where speakers may address items pertaining to the business of the district. During public comment, board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time to discuss or debate. We will not take any formal action, and however, the superintendent or the board may refer you to the proper staff or the person that could help you work through your concern. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in the conducting of this business. Please assist us in maintaining a civil and constructive environment by confining your comments to the business of the district and refraining from intemperate or rude comments. Thank you very much. Mrs. Simonetti, do we have any speakers?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have 56 speakers signed up for general public comments. Our first speaker is Thomas Lee Bryant.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Cook, members of the board, Dr. Grego and staff, and we're missing you, Vice Chair Long. Let's take a look at some numbers. There have been more than 32 million cases of COVID-19 in the U.S., with more than 572,000 deaths. That's more deaths in the last 14 months from COVID-19 than the combined U.S. combat deaths from World War II, the Civil War, World War I, the American Revolution, the Iraq War, the War of 1812, the war in Afghanistan, and the Mexican-American War. There have been nearly 2.5 million lab-confirmed cases in Florida, with 35,000 deaths. There have been nearly 119,000 cases in Florida K-12 schools, with 24,000 of them being school staff. And there have been 4,233 reported cases in Pinellas County schools, 1,215 employees, and 3,018 students. These are staggering numbers. Here are a few more numbers for you, though. B1, 427, and 429. B1, 525, and 526. P1, P2, B117, and B1351. Those are, of course, COVID variants. The last two, B117 and B1351, having an increase in transmissibility over our original COVID-19 of 50%. Florida, of course, leads the nation in the number of variant cases. Of course we do. But today the governor extended Florida's COVID-19 emergency declaration for another 60 days. I understand that some people want to get rid of the masks. Trust me, I wear one from 7 a.m. till 2:35 every day, at least 2:35. But to do away with the mask now, with such a short time left in the school year, with all the variants that are popping up, that's just beyond the pale. I want to thank Dr. Grego and the school board for sticking with our mask mandate for the rest of the school year. Let's all hope and work for better days to come. And with 40 seconds to go, good luck to the Green Devils tennis teams tomorrow playing in the state finals down in Doral, both boys and girls team. We've been mentioning a lot of St. Pete High, more St. Pete High. By the way, the school improvement looks beautiful.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nancy Velarde. This was what Nancy submitted in the email, if you want to pass it around.
Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. PCTA has done a poll of the members to ascertain their current opinion about the mask policy. Out of almost 1,000 respondents, 86% clearly feel the mask policy should remain in place until the end of this school year, in the hope of increasing the likelihood of a normal start to next year. Not only are they in favor of keeping the policy in place for the remainder of this year, a little over 55% would like the option to wear masks in the fall. The case numbers in Pinellas are dropping again, along with the positivity rate, and we all hope that that trend continues. Vaccinations in Pinellas are still below the 50% mark, but they are approaching 43%, which is another major variable in considering adjusting policy. Unfortunately, in the past 2 weeks, we've seen an increase in our school cases, most notably in our students. In the last week alone, we had 130 positive student COVID cases. The student numbers have been gradually climbing since the end of March. Employee cases are holding relatively steady with a very slight increase this past week. This, I believe, is due to the vaccinations. We must watch these numbers carefully, both in our community and in our schools, before any changes be made in policy. I'm asking again also that our teachers are shown the same grace being shown our students and even our schools regarding testing results. We understand and agree that this year's results may be atypical for students and should not be harmful to them in any way. The same holds true for teacher evaluations, as the student growth score is taken from the very same tests which may provide questionable results and thus can be considered unreliable. Teaching during a pandemic has been as far from typical as one can get, and a teacher who's been rated effective or highly effective in the past may see a dip in her numbers. This in no way reflects the hard work and dedication these educators have shown all year, ensuring that each student receive the best education possible in a near impossible situation. The schools in Pinellas were open to over 75% of our students. This could not have been accomplished without employees who were willing to take the risk and work in our classrooms. Even Commissioner Corcoran agrees there should be no punitive use of test scores for evaluations. Some districts have already determined that educators are entitled to that benefit. Your employees would greatly appreciate you being the leaders and doing the right thing. You've all expressed gratitude for the creativity they've demonstrated in the classroom. This would be a wonderful way to say thank you. Thank you and good evening.
And thank you.
Our next speaker is Don Richter.
Good evening.
Board members.
Welcome.
Welcome. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Isabel Mascarenas and Sean Briggs for providing tape of the 420 workshop to our foundation in such a timely manner. It was appreciated. Okay, although Mr. Herbick presented a thorough and accurate timeline and history of our relationship, I feel as if it was presented in somewhat of a negative and dismissive light. When a goal or objective is set, it is important to discuss such matters in a positive tone. Mr. Herbick made several statements during the workshop that I would like to respond to. Number one, we are not destroying the land, we are just selling it to a developer. Well, yes, by selling the land to a developer, you are complicit in the destruction of that land, and you are indeed destroying it. Number two, we are not ignoring the wishes of the community. We have over 8,400 signatures on our petition. Many people have been calling the school board and emailing the school board. And during our community outreach events, I have not met one single person that supports development on that land. Just by offering it to the county does not mean you are looking out for the wishes of the community. It goes much deeper than that, and we must start thinking outside of the box. Number three, the word NIMBY has been used. Yes, it is true that the West Closterman Preserve is close to where we live. The West Closterman Preserve Group is concerned and involved with the preservation of all threatened natural green space in Pinellas County, not just West Closterman Preserve. We are currently working with groups involved with the saving of the Gladys Douglas property, the Anclote River parcel of land, the tides, and the landings of Clearwater, to name a few. So I propose to you that NIMBY is not an accurate term to be using. We are now at the 2-minute warning, 7th inning stretch, or the green-white checker, whatever sports analogy works for you. With the outbreak of COVID and the emergence of the Gladys Douglas property, West Closterman Preserve Group suffered setbacks. We are just now starting to gain traction in our grant and fundraising efforts. We appreciate the extra time given to accomplish this vital task. We must remember that once the bulldozers get rolling, we can't take it back. A question was raised during the workshop by one of the board members: is it urgent that we sell this property? The answer was no. I understand the board's desire to move forward to a conclusion with this property, but once again, there is no urgency. Although we are working diligently with our legal staff, Pinellas County School Board, and various funding sources, we may in the future feel the need to again petition for an appropriate extension. May not, might. Oh, that's it? Okay, I went quick. Is that it?
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lindsay Schultz.
Good evening.
Good evening. I want to start off by thanking Ms. Lisa Kane for still being the only board member who respects the parents' right to decide what is right for their kids. For the rest of you, I am disgusted by your repeated dismissal of our concerns. I am disgusted by your condescending attitudes and treatment of us. We are more than 100 strong, Ms. Simonetti, wherever you are in here. But I want to come here today and congratulate all of you on a few things. Congratulations on turning school children into mask police. You now have children in kindergarten turning in their friends for pulling their mask below their nose so they can get fresh air. You have effectively accomplished the same thing Hitler was able to do, turning friends against each other. And can you pay attention, Miss Nicole Carr? Thank you. Some of these kids are so convinced that they could catch COVID and die from their friends, and it's your faults. The fear and anxiety they feel is a direct result of your COVID rules you have placed in these schools. Second, congratulations on making parents feel unwelcomed in their children's schools. You guys want our money, you want our donations, but you do not want our presence. You guys have taken out the outdoor picnic tables that we can come and sit and eat lunch with our kids. What is the reason behind that? I hope all of you are proud of yourselves, and I bet you pat yourselves on the back for a job that you think you have done well, while writing off the rest of us as a small group of hysteric science deniers, when in fact, hysteria is the reason why we have all these COVID regulations and rules, not only in our schools, but in our county. There have been several reports that masks do very little to protect against COVID. In fact, Fauci basically admitted the same thing when he said we should all be wearing multiple masks. Why? Because one mask is not effective. Second, there have been reports that children are not at a high risk of transmitting COVID, and they're not at a high risk of complications. But lastly, I genuinely want to thank you and congratulate you for being the catalyst that has started a movement that has brought well over 1,000 people and growing together that are hell-bent on making sure you all lose your seats up there. We also want to shift the balance of power back to parents, where we can regain more choice and influence in what happens in our kids' schools. And P.S., protect the West Klosterman Preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Graham Angus.
Not here.
Our next speaker is David Happy.
Good evening.
So I'd like to be here to thank you all for your time tonight, but I can't, because I don't generally spend my time in Pinellas County thanking child abusers for their time. School's been in for 147 days. 147 days means you have sentenced my child to 882 hours of wearing a mask. We got a copy of the secret audio that you didn't want to come out of your workshop. It was kind of weird. One of you was laughing about the fact that there's only 33 days left. Happens to be the same one of you that on December 15th was having trouble wearing your mask like I am. So to the one that was laughing at your workshop about the fact that there's only 33 days left, thank you for sentencing our kids to another 198 hours of wearing a mask. You've sentenced our kids already to 880 hours of breathing through a mask, and none of you have done that. None of you have done that. You don't have our confidence. You don't have our trust. You're abusing these kids. We don't agree with you. 880 hours of breathing through a piece of cloth. You don't do that. You can't even wear a mask for 4 hours sitting in a meeting. I sent you the picture. Did you get it? I think you did get it. 880 hours. Some of you have kids or grandkids. Almost 200 hours left in the school year. You were laughing at the meeting about the amount of time that's left in the school year. It's only 200 hours more of wearing a mask. Are you kidding me? You can't even wear one for 4 hours. See? Case in point. Against our will, you've masked these children. Dr. Grego, against our will, you've masked these children for 880 hours of breathing through a mask. You haven't done that. None of you have done that. None of you have done that. Another 200 hours to go. Pat yourselves on the back. Give yourself awards.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Shelley Tatro.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? I'm kind of short. Okay. I just wanted to come in and address you. I'm kind of in a unique position. I'm a gymnastics school owner. And when we were all trying, because we're all trying to navigate this, I'm trying to keep my staff safe, trying to keep my kids safe, I'm trying to figure out the best way to keep everybody safe. Because of what we do, we have children who flip. I cannot put masks on children who flip. That is a bad choice. I'm changing one risk for another risk. So when we reopened in March of last year, we did it methodically, this group, then this group, we kept the groups apart. We did everything that we felt we could do to keep the children safe while allowing them to not wear masks. I have a decent-sized gym. I run about 850 to 900 students that come at least once a week, some of them more than that. I've had no transfer within my facility, none. The adults wear masks. The teenage coaches wear masks. I will say I don't have a lot of high school students, so I don't really have that data. But my preschoolers, my babies, my elementary school, my middle schoolers, they come in, they work out, they do not wear a mask. We separate the groups. We don't have any cross between groups, but they don't social distance within their group. We have had probably 10 to 15 isolated cases since March, and in each of those cases, we were able to determine that the COVID came outside of our facility and it did not spread inside our facility. I can't tell you why. The children are not spreading it and they're not sharing it, but they're not. I invite anybody here to come and see my facility, and I would be happy to give you a tour and show you around. But I really feel like if we can share as much data as what's being happened, I understand it's scary. I understand it's scary to take the masks off of the children. But because of my position, I had to take that risk. I did take that risk. And what I'm seeing is that my staff is safe, my children are safe. We're just not having that issue. So thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kaya Pert.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Kaya Pert, and I'm a student at Academy Da Vinci in 6th grade. I am here to tell you that it is not okay to continue forcing students to wear a mask all day for 7 hours, because we know that masks have very little to no effect against COVID. Many private schools in our county do not force to wear masks, and we should be following their lead. I personally find it difficult to concentrate and also to understand my teachers. As the weather gets hotter, it's been harder and harder to keep my mask on all day. I am begging you to end the mask requirement today, and I mean today, not next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Amy Mack.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Amy Mack. You asked at your last workshop if the doctor knew if masks could cause harm. She responded with something like, well, we all wear masks and yeah, we have any issues. Well, the obvious follow-up question should have been, is your hospital staffed by elementary school students? You see, in the real world, when we recommend treatment programs or preventative measures, we base them on the results of clinical trials. I'm a clinical pharmacist. I'm formally trained in statistical analysis. In the real world, recommendations and guidelines are based on being able to apply your population to the studied population, especially as it relates to baseline characteristics such as age and health history. In the real world, we make a hypothesis, primary, secondary endpoints. One of the statistical measures we use is called numbers needed to harm. So my question today maybe is, how many children does the Pinellas County School Board need to mask to cause harm to one child? There's lots of stories about harm. There's been many of them provided here. There's no way to track it. You guys don't report it. So we don't know the actual numbers, but I'm sure we'll hear many more stories tonight. What I know for sure is you've definitely harmed at least one full child by your experiment. It's not 0 children. It's not 1/500th of a child. It's one full child at least, and it's my child. You harmed my child. You did this while ignoring the science. It's likely you're harming thousands of other children. So your face covering policy harmed 50% of my children. That alone should be enough to halt your trial on forced masking of children. Why? There's no data to support the benefit of your experiment. But the trial of masking our children has continued. As a reminder, my son's incident happened 6 weeks after school started. The night my son couldn't breathe, my first thought was, this must be a fluke. This has never happened before. He's never had any breathing problems before. Then it happened again the same night, and my 9-year-old told me he was afraid to go to sleep. We learned the next morning from the pediatrician that he was having a very hard time passing air through his airways. He was having bronchospasms related to something new in his environment. And you know what the only thing new was in his environment? He was forced to wear a mask about 9 hours each day at school because he was in before and after care as well. You know what his first warning sign was? A few days prior to all this, he said it was really hard to catch his breath at school that day. You know what the medical advice was from all of you and your staff? It's okay. We all feel short of breath sometimes in a mask. Well, guess what? It's not okay. It's not normal to feel short of breath. Precedence has been set. The kids are telling you, I can't breathe, so it's time to loosen your grip. It's time to unmask these kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sheila LaCavera.
Good evening.
Hello. My name is Sheila LaCavera. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner. Multiple scientists and medical professionals have come forward with evidence that does not support mask mandates. Masks do not provide protection against viruses, and they must be worn properly and only provide protection when an N95 or N100 mask is used. A mask must be changed upon entering a new room with new people after a certain period of time or after becoming moist. A mask is ineffective if touched even once. If it is touched or moved, you have contaminated your hands and face and actually increased bacterial or viral colonization. I'm a nurse practitioner, and when we get fitted, we have it done professionally in a hospital setting. A mask is placed on your face, and a hazmat type suit is placed over, and then they spray a sugar substitute inside the hazmat type hood. And if you can taste it, the mask is not sealed properly. With that being said, the COVID virus is small. It's very, very small. 0.06 to 0.14 nanometers in particle size and can attach to larger aerosol particles. Professionally fitted N95 masks block particles greater than 0.3 in size. Surgical masks block 0.5, and the cloth is about the same. So that basically says that they don't work. They don't block the particles that you want them to. In order for the mask to be effective, the children have to wear professionally fitted N95 masks, wear them perfectly, change them often throughout the school day. That alone is enough to indicate that masks are useless, as even adults have been seen to constantly touch their faces and their masks, and I have seen that while this meeting has been going on. Another more important fact is the overall survival rate for COVID-19 for the general public, for everyone, is 99.7%, and for children under 18 is 99.999%. Children are also less likely to become infected and less likely to spread the virus. In my professional opinion, it should be optional for children to wear masks if they want to, and teachers can continue to wear them if they are worried or they have an underlying condition such as obesity or autoimmune disease. On a side note, constant mask wearing creates a place, like I said, for bacterial colonization, which can be more harmful. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katie Meisner.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Katie Meissner, and I've been planning for weeks what I was going to say to you guys. Because I have a 6-year-old, and his school decided that for fourth quarter, his teacher was now going to do simultaneous. And that's terrible. But I don't have time to talk to you about that today. I want to talk to you about the mask mandate. But before I do, I'd like to share with you what I'm sacrificing tonight to be here with you. My grandmother is 79. She has COPD and is on oxygen constantly. She's recently received her second dose of the coronavirus vaccine and was able to travel from Chicago to Florida for a visit. She's currently watching my 2 children. I would like nothing more than to be at home with her right now. But I came here tonight because I heard that more than 50 people were able to take off during the middle of the day to come to a 10 a.m. meeting for the school board to beg and plead with you to do away with the mask mandates. As a person who has kept their children home all year, I'm contemplating, and I've signed my children up for summer school. If the mask mandates were to go away, I would not send my children to summer school. I do not live in fear. I am not terrorized by the virus. I listen to the regulations and the suggestions put forth by our experts at the federal level, and then I find ways to integrate those recommendations into my daily life. I have integrated schooling my children through teams with their teachers into my daily life. If I'm to return my children to the school, I'm going to need the confidence that the school is going to continue to look out for their well-being. If it is the school board's goal that they wish to coax children like mine back out of their homes and into the schools again this summer, I highly recommend that you keep the mask mandate in place so that parents can feel comfortable reintroducing their children to the school system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brad Chappell. Our next speaker is Tex Carter.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, and anyone else that's in here from the school board. I'm Tex Carter of Tarpon Springs, one of the members of the WK Preservation Group, seeking to acquire the property that has become known as the West Closterman Preserve, a conservation effort that you all know by now. It is worth stating that you have been a part of this conservation effort for 30 years because the property has essentially been left there undisturbed for all of that time. The WK Preserve has essentially been a part of the Mariner Point management area for that 30-year period, sharing animals, plants, and habitat. In the year that we've been working with the school board to save this land from bulldozing, we've been working with Associate Superintendent Clint Herbick and have been working to try to develop a plan to try to realize the preservation of the site. We listened to last week's workshop that Clint presented and feel that he did a good job of recounting the history of our collaboration together, as well as the fundraising challenges that we have started facing through COVID and other competing projects out there. We heard good support from some of the members of the school board for our overall objective, and we appreciate that. You heard a summary of how we're trying now to meet the fundraising challenges by establishing a partnership with Pinellas Community Foundation, as Dr. Carr pointed out in the workshop, and also fundraising efforts of some private individuals who participated in previous efforts to set aside preserves, and they want to help save this preserve and get it annexed to the Mariner Point area.
At the end of the workshop, there was a consensus among all of us, that we both would move forward with a sales agreement. Our group is ready to start that process as soon as we receive the draft agreement from PCSB, and Clint has confirmed that that should still be this week. When we receive the draft agreement, there will be some comments and reviews by us. Some of our fundraisers do have specific requirements that they want in it. One of those requirements is that if we buy the land, we buy it with the intent of keeping it as a preserve in perpetuity, and that's a condition of getting the funding. We have some other conditions that the fundraisers want us to meet. We want to establish essentially a good, fair price for the property, and I'll get to that in a second. We do expect to receive a contract that calls for completion by the end of July for a price that will be agreed. We like having a deadline, and fundraising responds well to deadlines. So if we have achieved a substantial treasury by the end of July, we would like to continue.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, sir. Goes quickly. Thank you. All right. If you'll have him if you'll state your name, sir, when you come to the microphone so we know who's speaking.
Good evening. My name's Brad Chappell.
Good evening.
I'm here again on behalf of 1,600 members of the Pinellas Watch Group, 1,400 members of the Parent Advocates for Student Health Freedom. And most importantly, I'm here on behalf of the most important group. I'm here on behalf of the voiceless victims of your policies, our children and the students of Pinellas County. It was gut-wrenching to hear the, quote, expert medical advisors give you their opinions, not based on facts, but on opinion during your workshop, with no follow-up questions from the group such as, how many pediatric hospitalization is a, quote, sharp increase? Or that one advisor that said that there's not any children having issues wearing masks during the school day. You're being told exactly what you want to hear. My child is affected. He goes to a doctor every single week to recover from the physical and psychological issues that he faces from being in a mask all day. Here's a suggestion. Why don't you guys contact some of your local private school leaders that have managed to flourish over the last year in a mask optional environment? Last I checked, they're not closing any of these mask optional schools because of any, quote, super spreader event. These are real resources of data, real research being conducted in the exact same city with fellow citizens right here in our county. Has not even one of you offered an olive branch out for dialogue and input on how are they making it a success every single day? Aren't we all in this together? Isn't that how the quote goes? Then how are we not contacting these folks? Setting up Zoom meetings, discussing best practices to get back to normal expeditiously, and none of that's taken place that I'm aware of. We need to unmask our children today. It's disgusting and deranged to think that all of you think it's okay to force our children to put a mask on for a condition to receive education in person on a daily basis. Again, I'm here to support the voiceless victims of your policies, the children. They don't even know that they're being harmed. Unmask our children. Good night.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adam Reister.
Good evening.
Good evening. We are the proud parent of 3 children that go to Pinellas County Schools, kindergarten, 4th grade, and 11th grade. We are now trying to understand why our children are continually forced to wear masks when they're sitting in their classroom, when they're behind a partition. But yet our son can go out and play football and tackle classmates from other schools that come on buses with their friends. Their parents come, and they sweat, and they blood, and they bleed, and that's fine. But they have to wear a mask. I have a 5-year-old child. He cries because he has to wear a mask at school. I'm sure some of you all are parents. How do you justify that to a 5-year-old that doesn't know what corona is, doesn't know what a virus is, but yet he has to sit in his classroom and wear a mask because the teacher is afraid that the 5-year-olds are going to infect them? So they send, one kid gets sick, they send all the kids home for 2 weeks, but they don't send home the after-school teacher. They don't send home the administrator that gets the child out of the car every morning. So what benefit is it doing to enact a quarantine for a child when the other placemakers, the other teachers, don't have to abide by it? All we're asking is, let our children not wear a mask. Very simple. I urge you, all of you all are sitting here because we voted you in. If this is the kind of action we get, lack of action that we get, why would we ever vote for you again? We'd vote against you. We're gonna vote against you. We're gonna get louder. There's gonna be a lot more of us. We're gonna keep showing up, and we're gonna keep demanding that you all free our children. I urge you to please follow the science that says these don't work. This won't protect me from a sunburn, but it's gonna protect someone in this room from getting a virus. Thank you guys very much for your time. We appreciate you. We know that you have a hard job. I didn't come here to yell at you. I came here to let you know that I am tired of it. My kids are tired of it. And I'm tired of consoling a 5-year-old boy every day on the way to school because he has to wear a mask, and listening to him cry on the way home every day because he has to wear a mask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mila Lembo.
Hi, my name is Maya Lembo, and I'm an 8-year-old homeschool student because of your mask mandate. My friends are wearing masks in school, but when my friends are out of school, they are playing with me and each other while not wearing masks. So why do my friends have to wear masks in school? Masks are not made for wearing all day long at school. They're made for surgeons to wear for protection against splash, spit, and other bodily fluids. At the last meeting, while I was waiting to speak, I was dizzy and lightheaded because of the mask. And I cannot imagine how the kids feel in school with their masks on 6 hours or more a day. I had the best teachers while in Pinellas County schools, and I always got a special hug at the end of the day. I cannot imagine not being allowed to give them a hug. Since COVID-19, my mom and I have been watching the Board of County Commissioner and Pinellas County School Board meetings. I have learned so much. I have seen parents and kids coming here crying and trying to tell you that masks are hurting them and they cannot breathe. So I am here begging for you to please listen to them. Unmask my friends and let their smiles free. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jordan Lee.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I'm 9 years old. I'm almost 10.
Hold on just a second, honey. We're going to move the microphone so we can hear you.
Let me just make this so they can hear you.
Okay, there you go.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I'm 9 years old and I'm almost turning 10, and that's a pretty big deal for me. I'm in 4th grade and I can't wait to go to 5th. I've been having problems at my school wearing a mask. Number 1, I can't see my friends' smiles and my teachers. I have problems during the day breathing through my mask. Sometimes I get very nervous because I can't breathe and I'm afraid to take my mask down. And my friends and my classmates also get very bad headaches. It is also very hard for me to concentrate wearing a mask. I am 9 years old, almost 10. I love school and I want to learn. But wearing a mask to me is not healthy, and it's and it's something that I shouldn't worry about. Today, I was at the library and buying a book and an eraser for the book fair. When I went up to the cash register, I was told to put my mask above my nose. My mask was above my nose. I could feel it above my nose. But maybe they're just used to saying, put your mask above your nose, though mine was above my nose. I also miss my mom coming in and having lunch with me and my sister on Fridays. I miss my mom volunteering in the lunchroom, and I miss my mom volunteering for the Kona ice truck that came for her school. I do love my principal. I love my teacher in my school. I love going to school, and I want to see my friends and everybody's faces and smiles. I also do notice a sign out on my library, and it says superheroes wear masks. Our library is right next to our PE court, and outside we do not wear masks, which makes me happy. But the sign says superheroes wear masks. Well, if I'm not wearing a mask, does that mean I'm not a superhero? Because on TV, superheroes don't wear masks, and that makes me sad, and I want to know if I'm a superhero. And today a few weeks ago, I was in my class. I pulled down my mask for a little bit, like for a second, because I had to breathe a little bit. And this person in my class said, why is your mask on? I'm like, it's so hard to breathe because I can't even breathe. And I feel like it's going to be hard for kindergarteners, pre-Kers, to have their mask on every day for 6 hours. Thank you for my speech today.
Thank you, sweetie.
Our next speaker is Kristen Lynn.
Good evening. Hello. Before my 3 minutes, I just wanted to thank my daughter. She did this on her own. Okay. Breathing is one of the most important physiological functions to sustain life and health. Our human body requires a continuous and adequate oxygen supply to all organs and cells for normal function and survival. Breathing is also essential for process of removing metabolic byproducts such as carbon dioxide occurring during cell respiration. I am here again today as a parent to make it a parent's choice whether our own minor children should be wearing masks in school or not. I do respect everybody's decision as a parent if they want to mask their children, but the same respect needs to be returned to parents that do not want their children masked in school. During your workshop last week, that at the last minute was not open for viewing by parents to watch, your inner circle of doctors portrayed inaccurate data and untruthful information in regards to hospitalizations, positivity rates, and masking children. Again, you need to go outside your little inner circle and look at the real data and statistics that are out there that have been presented to you over and over again. One quick bit of factual information as stated by Dr. Mary Harrow in Colorado Springs. Masks can cause low oxygen and high carbon dioxide levels, shortness of breath, toxicity, inflammation, increased stress hormones, increased sugar in body, creates fear, anxiety, headaches, and compromises cognitive performance and other problems. One other item I would like to address. Many parents have chosen fundamental programs in your school system to allow parents to interact with teachers in person. This has also been taken away from us because we are unable to step foot on our children's campuses. Along with that goes that parents are not allowed to eat with their children on Fridays, volunteer, and so on, basically denying us of our parental rights that we signed up for in your fundamental programs. In closing, again, as you sit there cowardly behind your plexiglass shields and masks, the responsibility that you are deserting the responsibility that you have to our children. Let it be up to the parents of our minor growing children if we want them to wear masks in school or not, and that we can support our teachers and faculty on the campuses. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Phil Nelson.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. God bless you guys. God bless all the family and children inside this building today, man. you know, you got a lot of spirit in this place. I can't help but think things are going to get changed, you know, in a good way. A lot of parents are saying stuff. You know, God bless them. I don't have time to look up all this data they have. This is my data, you know. I use this through my life. I lay down. I read it to my kid. It puts her to sleep at night. And I'm going to read it here. So when my time is up, just let me know. I appreciate you. And I wanted to say love and compassion to you guys because you're getting beat up today, you know. And, you know, hopefully there's something in here comes out to you guys. And I appreciate you. Appreciate all the kids and family and parents here. Man, it's not easy. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear and heed my words. Then he said to them, pay attention to what you hear by your own standard of measurement. That is, to the extent that you study spiritual truth and apply God, wisdom. It will be measured to you, and you will be given even greater ability to respond. And more will be given to you besides. For whoever has a teachable heart, to him more understanding will be given him, and whoever does not have a yearning for truth, even what has he will be taken away from him. That was from Mark 23. This is a psalm that reached out to me, and I don't know what it means. I haven't gotten to really say it, but it reached out to me, and I'm going to put it here. Listen to my words, O Lord. Consider my groaning and sighing. Heed the sound of my cry for help, my King and my God. For to you I pray. In the morning, O Lord, you will hear my voice. In the morning I will prepare a prayer and a sacrifice for you, and watch and wait for you to speak to my heart. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness. No evil person dwells with you. The boastful and the arrogant will not stand in your sight. You hate all who do evil. You destroy those who tell lies. The Lord detects and rejects the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. But as for me, I will enter your house through the abundance of your steadfast love and tender mercy. At your holy temple I will bow obediently in reverence for you. O Lord, lead me in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight and direct and right before me. For there is nothing trustworthy.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Shauna Nelson.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I just want to welcome my husband, his first time here, and those were clearly meant to be spoken today, and to all of you. I hope that you all take something out of them. I'm going to be quicker than I usually am, although sometimes when I say that, I then go over time. So, earlier this evening, I heard somebody call you pioneers in creating the new normal. I can say for everybody who's here speaking today, we're not interested in any new normal. We want our children to have a normal, anything but what we have seen this last year. What you are pioneers of are not of educating this new normal, it's of fear. You have become pioneers of fear within our school, and that certainly does not put pioneers in a good light. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And that is what needs to be shared in our school. And one of the biggest problems is that God has been removed from our schools, and we see that over and over and over again. I know that when you all got into this field, you got into this with great aspirations to really make a difference in the youth. But somehow, right now, you have all lost your way. And you need to find your way back. You need to find the passion and the commitment that you've had for nurturing our children. You need to find that. You need to get rid of the fear. You need to stop feeding the fear of your teachers and feeding into the teachers' unions. You need to put these children first. as I said, you know all the reasons why that we've been here for the last 10 months. I don't need to repeat the data. I've been in front of you time and time again repeating data, and you've heard it tonight over and over and over again. But I do want to talk about some stuff that was from that secret meeting last week that you know we all heard. I already pulled my kid, as you already know, this beautiful girl here. But did you forget that when I pulled her, and by that recording my thoughts didn't matter anymore, right? But I pulled her funding when I pulled her. So shouldn't I matter? Don't you want my funding back? Don't you want my child back? But you don't read my emails anymore either from that meeting, right? So my emails are now, oh, she's already sent one. We don't count her emails anymore. We know her name. She doesn't count. She's not one of the 100. Does that mean I'm a regular offender? But now this little girl here who's been at this private school, she went from a 2nd grade reading level last year from her vision disorders to a 6th grade reading level this year. Why? Because her private school puts her needs first. So with that, I bless you all. Please hear our words today. Please unmask our children.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Grace Nelson.
Hello. There we go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gracie, and I'm in 3rd grade, and I am 9. And today I want to share my speech with you. I go to private school now, so I don't wear a mask. This is the first time I have worn a mask, and I can't breathe, and it's scary. It hurts my heart. And I worry for my friends that must wear them. One day I picked up my BFF from public school. When she got in the car, she ripped off her mask and said she could not breathe and hated it. She told me that her teacher is mean because she always yells at her to fix it. Masks go away. My God teaches not to fear. All things should be made new, so throw them away. Know your immune system true. Mask off, immune system on. Trust in the Lord, don't be fearful. Open your eyes up to Him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark Brock. Mark Brock.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Mark Brock from ADV, and I think masks should be banned because they affect students' happiness detrimentally. Like many students, I think masks are very hard to breathe through, and kids are practically immune to the virus. So, can you just vote and get rid of the masks? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Julie Efron McAllister.
About a week ago, I was allowed into my children's school. I'm in charge of the yearbook, so I was there to take pictures as a volunteer. I wanted to share some of the things I experienced while I was inside of the school walls. There was a list of about 20 students that I needed to photograph to make sure that they had the school picture included in the yearbook. For each student, I instructed them to sit down on a stool, turn their knees to the light, and take off their mask and hold it in their lap. Each and every child that I instructed, immediately, fear in their eyes, looking at the administrator, am I allowed to take this off? Is this okay? I was there taking pictures. I actually did even have one student refuse to take his mask off because he was so scared he was gonna get in trouble. So I just was shocked by that. And then I was able to also witness, kind of in the downtime, 2 classes outside, 2 separate classes. The first was outside on a mask break. Saw all of the children socially distanced. Still about a quarter of them had their masks on during a mask break outside, 6 feet apart from their classmates. I'm asking that you refresh the teachers and staff's education that these children need to have time to remove their masks. I think that's just crazy that so many of them still were wearing them. And then the other class that I saw was, I think, a first or second grade PE class. And again, probably about a quarter of these kids, high intensity running, still had their masks on. So again, I would like to, of course, the first and foremost, remove the masks, but also to please instruct the teachers and staff that these children really, really need to be able to breathe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tracy Kepler.
Good evening.
Hello. I'll start by talking a little bit about that workshop you all had last week. You say you've reviewed all the studies and data that us parents have sent you this year regarding the health issues associated with masks, yet there was not one follow-up question to your panel of experts using this data to challenge their bogus claims. Not one request for data from them proving the safety of all-day masking or the massive increase of pediatric cases that they claimed, which, by the way, is not supported by the data listed on the current Florida COVID tracker site. Hospital admissions last month in Hillsborough County, where this doctor practices, for children ages 0 to 5 was 1, ages 6 to 12 was 2, and ages 13 to 18 was 1. Your experts are obviously biased, and one look at some of their Facebook pages is quick to show their liberal-leaning tendencies. Perhaps since you are supposed to be representing all constituents in Pinellas County, you could choose a panel that reflects more than this one slanted perspective. Try, for example, listening to the world-renowned doctors that Governor DeSantis has held roundtables with several times this past year that contradict everything your supposed experts are feeding you. Next, let me say that I take personal offense to the comment that was made about how half of us parents showing up to speak against the mask mandates don't even have children in the schools right now, as if our voices don't matter. As long as I or anyone else pay taxes in this county, we have a right to be here and to be heard. The very reason my children are no longer in your school is because of the mask mandate. You're telling me that parents who get fed up with the way you're running our schools, you're ruining our schools, and pull the children lose their ability to count anymore? Great, give me my tax dollars back and I'll gladly stop feeling the need to take time out of my busy schedule to come here. But until you or the powers that be do that, I will continue to fight for the type of public school that I would send my children to. Bottom line, the wearing of a mask for any period of time, let alone all day, is a medical decision with health consequences. It should be left to the discretion of the parent. The effect of the masks and the many other COVID-related changes you've made to the schools this year are ruining our children and our schools. It is time to return the schools to a place of safety and normalcy before this generation suffers irreversible consequences, both physically and mentally. Remove the mask mandate and get the schools back to their normal environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Broderick Husser.
Good evening.
Hello. These kids are doing a great job today, it sounds like. President Greco, Dr. Greco, members of the board, and guests. My name is Broderick Husserl, chairman of the WK Preservation Group, Incorporated. I am here today in regards to the current mission of the WK Preservation Group. Our current mission is to assure that the property called the WK Preserve, located on the north side of the West Closterman Road, remains in its current natural, untouched form. For myself, personally, what bothers me the most are the steps taken by high-density developers in their approach to develop land such as the above mentioned. The mass clearing of all trees, vegetation, animals, insects, and any other living forms appears to be brutal and primitive. I and many others would be very disappointed in anyone who would enable a high-density developer to perform this type of brutal land sterilization on some of the last remaining 1% of Florida scrub in Pinellas County. That is teeming with animals and endangered species. The methods of this type of development are inhumane. I applaud the school board for allowing this property to remain untouched for over 30 years. I thank the school board for allowing WKPG the time to raise funds in order to purchase this property. You are setting an example for your students. We are glad you have decided to join us and become a hero for Pinellas County. We cannot let money rule. A few closing facts and thoughts. As a group, we now have over 8,400 signatures on our petition. WKPG was promised by the school board, to the best of my knowledge, a soft date of at least 1 year, April 2021, to see how our FCT grant was doing. I had never heard of a 6-month deadline, hard or soft. I think we were just going to check in to see how everything was going if there was a 6-month mention. I never heard of it until this week, and neither had anyone else in our group. So I'm kind of confused by that. After that initial discussion, enter COVID-19 and the Gladys Douglas property. We are now rushing to find funding. We were hoping for more time since we're now just coming out of a worldwide pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nicole Breedlove.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is Nicole Breedlove. I have 2 children in the Pinellas County School District doing in-person learning, and 3 stepchildren in another county doing virtual learning. I have seen firsthand the damaging effects that the mask wearing and social isolation that has been brought on by the COVID-19 restrictions. I'm going to share with you a part of a study from Stanford University's Cardiology Division. It was published in November 2020, and I'm just going to read the conclusion, giving my allotted time. I highly recommend reading this article in its entirety because their findings are astounding. I will leave with you a copy of all the source material for your review. The conclusion states that the existing scientific evidence challenges the safety and efficacy of wearing face masks as preventative intervention for COVID-19. The data suggests that both medical and non-medical face masks are ineffective to block human-to-human transmission of viral and infectious diseases such as SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, supporting against the use of face masks. Wearing face masks has been demonstrated to have substantial adverse physiological and psychological effects. These include hypoxia, hypercapnia, shortness of breath, increased acidity and toxicity, activation of fear and stress response, rise in stress hormones, immunosuppression, fatigue, headaches, declining cognitive performance, predisposition for viral and infectious illnesses, chronic stress, anxiety, and depression. Long-term consequences of wearing face masks can cause health deterioration, developing and progression of chronic diseases, and premature death. That's end of their conclusion. On top of those horrendous side effects imposed on our children on the daily, another glaring issue is arising that needs immediate attention. There has been a rise in youth suicide in some areas of up to 100%. The hospitals are reporting that they are overflowing in their psychiatric units. I am personal eyewitness to seeing the firsthand of this devastating effects from the mask wearing, social isolation, and COVID restrictions. I have a 10 and 11-year-old battling depression. I have a 16-year-old battling depression and is suicidal. My 14-year-old niece left a suicide note for her mother right before she ran away from home, and in her note she stated, "The next time you see me, you'll find my bones." All 4 of them seeking help from a psychologist. Now, according to the CDC, the age bracket that truly needs to be cautious of COVID-19 is 80 and above. The American Institute for Economic Research reports that accounts for roughly 4.4% of our U.S. population. And our youth, 24 and under, account for 31.5%. That is roughly a third of the U.S. population. We need to direct our attention to our children and protecting their livelihood.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Our next speaker is Susanna Steele.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Susanna Stille, and guess what? I'm back. You can't get rid of me. I will keep coming to these meetings for however long I have to, and nothing will stop me. And as you can see, I broke my foot. Did that stop me? No. First of all, I've been coming here every single time that I can, but my words fall to deaf ears. You have broken our society, so I'm going to glue it back together. I'm tired of living in your world of isolation and fear. Some people think it's not even worth it to live in this world that you have shattered. And you know what they do? They commit suicide. Whose fault would that be for decimating our lives? That would be you. Give me back the life that I once loved. Give me back my friends. I'm not deadly. My friends are not deadly. So why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? Is it because I'm so menacing that you have to hide my face? Yeah, people, I'm so scary that these responsible adults need to hide from me. I mean, seriously, get a life. Sure, you can't mask us next year, but what about the locker problem? Middle and high school kids are having to carry their books, homework, water bottles, lunch boxes, and backpacks all day, every day. Their shoulders are being weighed down by a ridiculous, not evidence-based policy. You have been given a responsibility to these schools to help them and to help the parents and us kids. Do you really understand that you are hurting us? The laughter has died, smiles have faded, hearts turned to stone, and kindness killed. This is your fault. Is this fun to you to watch us suffer? Also, why do you always turn the camera when I take my mask off? Is it because my courage might spread and I might empower other kids to do the same? Tut tut, that doesn't sound like a very responsible thing to do. You are the authorities that should empower and inspire us, but now I have to do your dirty work and what you should have done long ago. We don't want you here as our local authorities. Dr. Grego, last meeting you tried to get rid of us by saying that you agreed with us. But look how that worked out. Oh wait, it didn't. It was a complete failure, like the way you do your job to help us kids. You know you're hurting us. You're making us come up here to speak about our discomfort. This is unacceptable and cruel. My 8-year-old little sister will be speaking to you shortly. But what surprised me was she actually had the courage to do so. But you chickened out when we told you to unmask us. Does a second grader have superior intelligence and courage than a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old puts together? That's pretty pathetic. By the way, my parents don't write my speeches. I can do them just fine on my own. And as we keep mentioning time and time again, oh, what was it? I think it went a little something like, unmask the children now!
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gabe Steele.
I'm going to ask about a break after this. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. I am Gabe Stille. I'm a 9th grade student at the Palm Harbor IB program. I never thought I would actually have to come up here and speak to you, but here I am because you have failed to listen to us. We have told you time and time again that we do not want to be force masked. Have you listened? No. We've told you to look at actual science. Have you? No. There are several counties in Florida that do not force mask their children. Is there any difference in COVID case or death rates? No. Is there an actual reason for you to force us to wear cloth face coverings that have not been found to reduce the case or death rates of COVID by data analysis or scientific experiments? No. There's no logical reason for this. Every way to determine whether masks work has shown that they don't. Science, data, and even common sense are against you. How could a piece of cloth with holes 5 to 200 micrometers wide possibly stop virus particles, which are 1/10 of a micrometer small? This is like trying to stop water with a sieve. Some will be temporarily blocked, but it all comes through anyway. You were supposed to be in charge of our county's schools, elected with the expectation that you would be able to do it competently. But our faith in you is gone. Amazing how people that looked like they would be good leaders fail us when we need them most, huh? We are falling from the free society that our country is based in, falling to authoritarianism. This is partially your fault. You have failed to serve the people and uphold our free society by trying to take away our God-given rights. Do you really want to do this? Do you know the consequences of your actions? If you still fail to see what your actions are leading towards, go read some dystopian novels. They will give you a perspective on the world you are attempting to build. I would ask you to stop trying to take away my rights, but I know that won't work. So I'm going to have to shove away your disgusting attempt at stealing my freedom, like everyone else who has been oppressed throughout history has had to do. We do not have to obey your petty attempts to take away our right to breathe. You're supposed to be servants of the people, not the other way around. And what is it that your masters, the people, want? For you to rescind the mask mandate. Not when California does, not next year, now. Do you know how the Berlin Wall fell? Thousands of people who were fed up with decades of authoritarian rule swarmed the gates, and the guards had no choice but to let them through to the free West Berlin. You are fighting a losing battle, and you are far outnumbered. How about you give in now instead of hurting yourselves and everyone else more? We will keep coming back in larger numbers until you listen to us. We are not going to give up.
Thank you. Board members, we have been here for about over 2 hours. We have, it looks like, at least another hour and a half worth of speakers. Would you like to take a break, or would you like to continue going individually? Okay, I'm hearing individually. All right, let's go with our next speaker.
Our next speaker is Lucy Steeling.
Good evening, but let's get a microphone down to her. There you go. Good evening, hon.
Hi, my name is Lucy Steele, and I'm in 2nd grade. I just learned Spanish, so it might be hard for you to understand me. At my school, my teacher makes the student to be a mask patrol to make sure no one has their mask down. I have never been assigned as a mask patrol because my teacher knows I will only encourage people to take off their masks. We want you to end the mask mandate now. I know the state ordered you to take away the mask mandate in the fall, but we want that change immediately. I'm not here to tell you about the science behind or any of that. I'm here because I'm tired of living in a world of isolation, fear, and horror. I want our world to be happy, not in fear. We want our world to be free. I'm only asking you to let me breathe. Masks should be optional. Do you really know how much you're hurting me? I can't see my teacher's face. My teacher wears 2 masks, so I can barely hear her at all. You are putting our world in chains. You're making those who don't know the truth afraid of everything. You can't manipulate us anymore. You need to think before you act. Have you looked at the real data? I bet the answer is no. You're finding doctors who say COVID is deadly to everyone and only listen to them. You don't listen to the doctors and nurses who tell you that children really get COVID, and when they do, it's just a minor sickness. Let me breathe. Unmask everyone.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ryan Steele.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Stilley. I'm the proud father of 6, 3 of whom have spoken here today just now. I can imagine how annoyed you are having to listen to what started as maybe a couple malcontents complaining about your forced mask policies. Then it grew to a few lecturing you on the fallacy of those policies. Then it was dozens demanding you remove the policies immediately. Then more, every time you conduct your meetings. Perhaps you think they're just a minority of jobless folks with too much time on their hands and nothing better to do. Why is it you must endure the litany of their complaints every other week? Who are they to lecture you? We are your boss, the tax-paying citizens you work for. You were hired to ensure the quality education of the children of our county. Do your job. Unmask our children now. We are done with your saver complex policies made under the false pretense of medical necessity. You have not listened. You have not listened to the very people you were hired to serve. Stay in your lane. Unmask our children now. We are watching. For every one of us here today, there are hundreds more and growing behind us. There will be more and more until you listen. These meetings are going to get very, very long. Unmask our children now. We will replace you if you don't listen. The days of your boss's apathy are over. I suggest you look for employment elsewhere. I hear the CCP is hiring these days. Unmask my children now.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Elizabeth Fox.
Good evening.
Hi, you remember me? I've been here a few times now, and I'm so happy to see that you guys have actually followed some science about how detrimental it is to put the poison on everything after every speaker. It's really refreshing that you haven't done that this time, but I can see that you've destroyed this piece of furniture, whatever it is. But it shows me that you can actually change things based on new information. So why are you still forcing masks on the children and my grandchildren? I also listened to the recording of last week's workshop. Can't tell you how disappointing it is to hear your medical expert, Dr. Canaday, do some fear-mongering about the increased pediatric hospital cases without any of you asking for any real numbers. As you heard from a prior speaker, they were very, very small and not a real increase. When you actually look at the data, you can see that she grossly overstated that the hospitals were seeing an increase in their pediatric cases. Do you really care about the mental health and well-being of the students of Pinellas County? Because if you do, you have a very strange way of showing it. Every teacher that wants a vaccine can get one. So who are you trying to protect with the face masks? It shouldn't be the children. They're at the lowest risk of any complications from COVID or even catching COVID, let alone spreading it. But they are suffering from facial infections, sinus infections, strep throat, and many other issues due to the constant masking. So who are you protecting? Why hasn't this ended yet? Maybe if you have the courage to make a change with your sanitizing, you can make a change with the masks and let the kids breathe today. Maybe, not maybe next year, today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jessica Carroll.
Oh, I'm shorter than she is. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I'm here at the school board. We all spoke at the county meeting, and I really more so want to express to all the people who showed up here, because I know you all are listening, that it takes a great amount of courage to walk in here. I didn't even know how intimidating it was to walk into this building with these huge guards at the desk saying, "Where's your mask? Can't come in with a mask." I didn't know a lady got tackled by these guards. That's surprising to me. And to the board, I would say, I didn't know any of your names before any of this started. I know your names now. Trust me, I vote. I vote a lot, and I know a lot of people that vote. And to the kids who showed up, I was very surprised to see all of them, and they give me so much courage, and courage is contagious. And I have two more words for this board right in front of me, and that is mask off.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Andrea Tipton.
Good evening.
Hello. I just also came from the other commission meeting, and this is my first time ever speaking to you. This is way more intimidating than the commission meeting, so I'm probably going to cry worse than I did just at that last meeting. I have a 13-year-old son with sensory processing disorder and ADHD. I have kept both of my kids home for 340 days. Do you have a son? Do you have a child with ADHD or sensory processing? It is tough. That runs my life, and I have a full-time job in the mortgage industry. Those are two things that are on their own intense. Do you care about kids with special needs? Do you care if they succeed? My son wasn't. Last year, he had honor roll when the year ended. Every month, I have a meeting with my IEP team, and they beg me to have my son come back to school. They're begging me. I have another son who is being tested for gifted. They're begging me to have him come back. Are you scared of COVID? I don't know what your concern is, but bring them back. I'm not scared of COVID. I have a son that overheats that is 11 years old, and a 13-year-old who lives. He chews everything. All of his shirts are ruined. He used jewelry. He can't use that anymore in school because he has a mask on. Now his jewelry is his mask. That thing is in his mouth all the time. He also has braces. I want to show you what that looks like. I don't know if I can give you these pictures, but every day, this is what my son's mask looks like when I pick him up. I hand wash these. The teachers give him new masks throughout the day. He's broken 3 brackets trying to get the string from the mask out that I have to pay for $25 a piece. I also have to take time off from my demanding job just to go to the doctor's appointment to get him a new bracket. I had to take vacation time to be here today. This is my first time being here. People come to Florida, they take their vacation, and they sit on the beach. I took vacation to come into this building. That's not fair to me. I work 80 hours a week sometimes in my demanding job. I shouldn't have to be here today. The other worst part about this, these are pictures of my son since the mandate with scarring. He has sores all over his face. The doctors want to say that these masks don't do anything to kids. My son is proof they do. They are ruining my son's life. They are ruining it. He came back to middle school after 340 days to a bunch of kids that had gone through puberty without him. Now he's being bullied. He's in a charter school, thankfully. They nipped that in the bud, but the kids that didn't go to charter school, they're being bullied. Please unmask my child. And I don't mean next year. I'm surprised that you guys are even considering masking him next year. I can't send my kid to a private school, and I cannot keep him home anymore because he needs the IEP. As a mom, I can't do this anymore. We have enough on our plate. Please just unmask them.
Thank you. If you'll bring him over here.
Our next speaker is Maria Canant.
Good evening.
So I'm sure you guys really enjoy missing your lunches, your dinners, you're catching up on Facebook. That's great. You know, that's fantastic because you got to make up the time that you're stuck here listening to us. For the last year, this is all you've been doing. Like, this is the best use of your time. This is the feedback you want from the public. My child was enrolled at Elisa Nelson. She's the child you want. She reads at a 9th grade level. She is in 5th grade as an 8-year-old. This is the student you want in your schools. I pulled her as soon as I realized what was happening. Our children are not your pawns. They are not your pawns to have as mask police, and they're not your pawns to use for jobs that you and your teachers should be doing. You want to police children, your teachers need to do it. Not be lazy and punt it off to the kids because they can't figure out how to be mask police and teach because of the fear of the principal walking around and making sure the masks are on right. You have mask police in every single grade and every single school, and it's ridiculous. You've put this on the kids now. You want to have your crazy policies, you take ownership of that, and you make the adults responsible. Your representative the other day suggested that out of 400 families, only 100 of us would prefer to not have masks with emails that you've received. And then another statement said that only 40 families show up on any given week. Most of us don't email anymore because it doesn't matter. And you should level set that 40-person figure because you're now going to be stuck here for another hour and a half tonight. I don't know if you know how exponential growth works, but it started with 5, then 10, then 20, then 50, then 60, then 80. And behind us, right, are 1,000 people apiece that aren't speaking out because they can't take time off and they can't be here. Clearly, you think this is a simple mask issue, but what's interesting is what you've done to yourselves by not addressing this and offering parental choice. We've only ever wanted choice, so teachers union, I appreciate you wanting masks. You can wear them, who cares? We want choice. What you've done is you opened eyes to what happens at these meetings. We've listened to people up here bash school choice. I've never attended these because my child's not in the system right now. Now I attend every single one because what you're doing is additional parental overreach. And so now, what are our options? To make you skip dinner and lunch every few weeks? Yeah, that's good, because if we're all suffering, you're gonna suffer. But we're gonna replace you next election cycle. We know that the rezoning is gonna create extra seats, and we're going to come for your seats. And I'm on the HOA. I don't want residents attending my meetings because that means I can't make the decisions I wanna make, right? They come in and they talk. You don't want us here either, because now we see your secrets. We see the parental overreach. If you can't be public servants and stand right by your constituents, then you don't have a right to have your job. We're coming for your seats, and we're gonna come for each one until you are all unseated permanently, because you've stopped caring about the children, you have your own agenda, and all you wanna do is keep the agenda going of removing parental choice. And we see it now, and you don't want that. And we see it in mass numbers, and now you can't hide it. And we'll be here every week. Masks will go away, not by your choice. We're gonna come for your other issues.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Agnesika Kanat.
I am an 8-year-old who goes to an unmasked school. I get to see my teachers' smiling faces. I get to understand my friends' expressions, if they're happy or upset. And I get to play outside and not worry about something covering my face or nose. I have only worn masks flying, and even then it was impossible to wear it properly. My friends that go to mask schools complain all the time about their masks. They say their face is itchy, and they get in trouble a lot for not wearing them right. Most of them will also tell you they re-wear the same ones every day. They also say they haven't been able to have fun parties, dances, and other fun things that you like to have in school. It is a shame that I'm allowed to be a normal kid with no mask, with no shame, having a normal school experience, and others cannot. It makes me very sad to see that kids in these schools believe that they can somehow harm others by simply not wearing a piece of cloth over their face. I don't want that fear as an 8-year-old. You're just continuing to make it worse. Let these kids learn in person and be able to have a choice about things like masks, lockers, and going to fun events. And let them be just like me, a normal kid. And if you don't think that we should be allowed to be normal kids, then maybe you're not the right person for this job.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mark Kanat.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mostly everyone before me and after me will tell you how detrimental forced mask wearing is to a children's health and psyche. I know that. As much as you don't want to admit it, you know that. Science has already disproven the methods you have all used to put this mandate in place. Not to leave out, studies all over the world state that transmission of the virus in children is almost zero. Also, as far as I'm concerned, each and every one of you could care less what us parents have to say or the wealth of information we bring to you. You have already made your mind up. So this evening, I'd like to speak about control. Control is a very powerful and addictive thing. Most people want it, and once they have it, they never want to let it go, just like what you all have. You all sit there and think you think you control what and how our children learn. You think you can take that control from us parents who choose to send our children to public school. This mandate isn't about science, a virus, or teachers. This is about power and control you wield over our children. You control them on a daily basis with your forced mask wearing, but the bigger picture is you're training them. You're training them not to think for themselves or investigate any further than what they're being told, just like the mainstream media tells us how to act, where to be, and how to wear our mask. Training them that they will comply or be punished. The only thing that needs to be done to enslave people is to get them into a state of fear. If you manage to find a way to scare people, you can make them do what you want. That was by a very dangerous man that none of you all think about. It was the same thing Hitler and Goering said from the Nazis. If the pandemic has done anything for parents and our children, it's that we're going to show up to these local board meetings. We're going to show up to these governments, and we're going to take every one of your seats, and we're going to place them with people that put our children first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker
Please
is Julie
refrain from
Rouse.
applauding. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Julie Rouse, and I want to say one thing before I start. You should be ashamed of yourself for making kids feel uncomfortable because you monsters mandated this in school. We all can agree that parents and teachers want the best for their child's academics, right? How can a kid pay attention in class while wearing a mask on their face 7 hours a day? I want to know your answer to that question. When I wear a mask, I felt like suffocating, and I don't even have asthma. I wanted to cry. Is this what you want for the future of your kids and kids in school? Have you even been in a classroom and seen what it's like? If you really care for Pinellas County schools, unmask the children.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joe Tillman.
My name is Joe Tillman. I'm a parent to a 5th grader and 2 first graders, including this beautiful angel right here that makes me so proud. I am here to say that masking little children is horrible, damaging, disgusting, and every one of you should be charged with child abuse for allowing this to continue. There is no science that shows masking children slows the spread of viruses, and the CDC's guidelines on masking kids are not backed by data. A comparison of counties with and without mask mandates shows no difference in rates of COVID, and even if they did work, children are completely incapable of wearing masks properly. Children have virtually zero chance of suffering issues from COVID, and science has shown they are not super spreaders of this virus. Any teacher who wants to get vaccinated now has the opportunity to do so. As the panel of credentialed doctors the governor had speaking just a few weeks ago stated, masks are developmentally inappropriate for children. Masks can lead to a variety of negative effects, including anxiety, fear, insomnia, depression, shortness of breath, mood disturbances, difficulty focusing, headaches, skin problems, not to mention triggering the flight or fight response and related stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol building up. We have also seen dramatic spikes in suicide rates and mental health issues in both children and adults. I have seen the look of fear and panic on my own young children's faces the few times they've worn masks when all of this started, and my heart hurts for the little children who have to wear them all day at school a year later. By the way, did we flatten the curve yet? These children are being raised to fear their world and the invisible viruses within it. Instead of teaching perspective, you are teaching compliance and fear, and it's compliance and fear to the detriment of these children's health and well-being. But freedom will prevail, and your government-mandated child abuse will come to an end. You think there are 100 of us? There are thousands of us, and our numbers grow by the day. Parents who are sick of sending their children to school crying. Parents who wanted to do the right thing when all this first happened, and now a year later see the ridiculousness of your continued mandates and the harm this is causing their children multiplying. God will judge you for the torture you have inflicted on these children all year. But soon enough, your hand will be forced and the masking of our children will be eliminated whether you like it or not. To the parents out there who are sick and tired of masking your children, I say stand up. It's time to stand up and fight for their chance at a normal, healthy childhood. Stop the fear-mongering, stop the child abuse, unmask our children.
Thank you. Okay, our policies and our rules of procedure in these meetings is that we do not applaud other than our recognition. So I'm not going to ask again, so please do not applaud speakers.
Our next speaker is Savannah Craw.
My name is Savannah, and I'm 9 years old. I have diabetes. Having diabetes alone, there are many things that affect my sugar levels. Add in these masks, and it is putting more stress on my body, affecting my sugar levels. On top of that, wearing masks outside in 80-plus degree weather for recess and PE makes it 10 times worse for someone like me. You're doing more harm to me than you know, and none of you care. Please make masks voluntary so I don't have to suffer anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unmask these kids.
Our next speaker is B. Day.
Good evening.
Good evening, thank you. About 3 or so years ago, I never thought that I would be standing here, not because of all of this madness going on with these mask mandates, because I actually thought that I would never be a parent. So you're probably wondering, well, what are you talking about? You have 3 children standing here with you. Originally, these were my 2 nieces and nephew. They were put into the Florida foster care system, and my husband and I, through the grace of God, were able to adopt them, and what I thought was going to be giving them a normal life, a normal American kid life. I thought, finally, my children, my kids, don't have to be under the rule of government, that they finally have a home where God is put first. And as a matter of fact, I used to be a Catholic school teacher. I used to teach these children. And now I get to teach them at home because the burden of being a teacher and trying to raise my 3 children was too much for me. So I found a job where I could work from home before COVID, before all of this, to make sure that my children would receive the life that they deserved. Look at them. They're beautiful. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, you can't really tell with the mask on. And that's what's such a shame. You know, I think sometimes what happens is we want to literally mask our real problems, right? So my daughter's in high school. She comes home and tells me kids are asking her to vape in the bathroom all the time. If we really cared about our children's health, don't you think that we would be monitoring this a little bit better so kids aren't killing themselves with this vaping? Are you looking at that at all? Are you looking into that? Another girl comes to her telling her she's doing inappropriate things with a boy in the bathroom or wherever they're doing things. Really? This is happening on our school campuses, but yet let's make sure they're all wearing masks, right? Because that's what's going to make them healthy and make them productive people in society where they're going to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Come on. This is ridiculous, and you know it is. Please consider giving all children, not just mine, but especially those children who don't have the greatest parents at home to be there for them. And I'm not talking about just making sure that they get to school every day or that they're healthy, but some of these kids live horrible, horrible lives when they go home, and some of the only times that they can enjoy their lives is when they're at school. How? I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, please, start looking at the real problems in our schools and take off these masks. This is getting ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christopher Natoli.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Natoli, and I'd like to say that I am against these mask mandates. I think that deep down, I think all of you are too. So do the right thing and unmask these kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Daniel Amend.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Good evening, Board. I want you to kill this mask mandate. This is garbage. As far as your decorum, you guys spent the first hour and a half of this meeting patting yourselves on the back in all sorts of form and fashion. So if we want to give someone a clap, I don't see the problem with that. This This is bogus. You know it's bogus. I've emailed you. I'm sure you've gotten emails from many other people. All sorts of studies. You know this is wrong. We know that it's wrong. And you know, we know this is bogus. So let's cut the crap, end this today, and do the right freaking thing. Good night and God bless.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Debbie Dorsey.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Debbie, and I'm a mother and grandmother here in Pinellas County. This is my first time here. I want to say that I'm against these mask mandates for our children. The psychological, mental, and physical damage this is doing is detrimental to their health, and it really needs to end now. So please, take these mask mandates away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kevin Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry about clapping before. It's my first time at the meeting, so
That's
it's
okay.
a little bit new for me. I want to say the irony of the yellow stickers placed on us as we come in is not forgotten. You know, it's only 80 years ago that people were designated by the yellow marks on them. Next, we'll probably come in and have tattoos put on us, I guess. Obviously, I'm totally against the mask mandate here. You guys have refused to listen to any science or anything like that. How many of you guys have kids, grandkids in the school system currently? Are any of you guys happy with this? Do any of your kids come home and say, yes, this was another phenomenal day? I'm a Dunedin native, Dunedin resident, Dunedin business owner. My business handles over 250 children every day. And every day, they are not happy. They're happy to come to us. We're mask optional. If that's what the family believes, that's what the child needs, whatever theirs is. You guys do not have the right to mandate this on our children. You guys do not have the right to force this upon them. I ask you, what happens tomorrow when all the kids go to school without masks? You shut the school down? Do you call the cops? Do you have all those parents arrested? What do you do? Think about it. Obviously, you're not going to answer, but think about it. What happens when 50%, 70% of the town gives you guys the finger and shows up? What happens? I'm absolutely disgusted in you guys. I'm so upset. I've been in this town for almost 40 years. I've lived all over the Tampa Bay area, haven't left Florida. I've traveled, so I'm not just a hick. But I love this area. You know, it absolutely makes me sad that I see a whole room of leaders, elected officials, that either don't care or you just don't want to admit you're wrong. Every one of us has made a mistake. That's what makes us human, is we can admit it. Do whatever you're going to do, but I'm telling my families, we support whatever your choice is. This is America. You have the right to live your life however you choose.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Susan Bucci.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's Susan Bucci from Tarpon Springs, and I have to tell you, like, the last place I would want to be right now is in your shoes. I don't know how you're doing this. I spent all day at the commissioners' meetings and just listening to story after story, and so many of them are heartbreaking. And to think that, you know, you have a part in that, I don't know how you do it. But you know, I see the children, I see the families as being victims of the system. And you are just as much victims, I think, because you're following the medical advice of these doctors who get their information from sources that, to me, are not up to date. And if I were to say to you, if you, and I said this morning too at the other meeting, If you ask the doctors that you are consulting, if they could, if somebody had RA or lupus and they were going to live their lives without medication comfortably, could they do it? And I will bet that every single doctor you ask that you're consulting right now would say absolutely not. They need medication. And I have met and seen thousands and thousands of people that are doing it without medication. So your doctors would not agree with that. But if you wanted to meet some of them, I'm sure I can get them in here to give you their testimonies. It can happen. There's another world out there that doesn't follow the CDC guidelines, and they're thriving. And I said it before, the highwire.com is a great source of information because they interview doctors and researchers from all over the world that have many credentials, and they're not funded by pharmaceutical companies that are pretty much running everything. And I just wish that the focus that's put on the virus was put on how to raise healthy bodies, how to raise healthy children, how we can all be healthy, because the viruses are not going to stop coming. They're not. And so what do we do? We have to start taking care of ourselves, because that's truly the only defense we're going to have in the long run. Because we can't keep locking down, we can't keep waiting for the new vaccine. So what are we going to do? So I think the school should focus on teaching children and parents how to take care of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sherry Fiorenzo.
Good evening.
Hi. While I do not have children of my own, I am here as a taxpayer who helps to fund the schools, and I vote, and I can help vote for change, and I will. I am here to speak on behalf of my nieces and my friends' children who are in public school and are forced to mask all day against their parents' wishes. I find it absurd that people can go out to eat and sit in a restaurant in a room full of strangers and remove the mask, but in a similar situation, children sitting at their desk in a schoolroom are not afforded the same freedoms. A neighbor of mine sends their children to a Christian school that does not force the mask. They were in daycare all summer last year with no masks, and they have not had any issues at daycare or school. Why can some schools function just as well or better with no mask? Why do you continue to force the mask? I think that you should make the mask a choice. And shame on you for creating a workplace that doesn't allow for debate and squashes differing opinions. Teachers that want to return to normal could bring a lot of good ideas to the table if they felt comfortable being able to do so. Here are some comments from teachers who dare not speak out. Comment number 1. Children are missing out on a lot of nonverbal communication, which cannot be seen with half of our faces covered. I have noticed so much less communication, less interactions. I worry about these younger kids developing good nonverbal communication skills and their emotional development by not being able to see facial emotions and in return respond with facial emotions. Comment number 2. As an adult in the school, I pass other teachers wearing masks, and though I'm smiling, sometimes even saying hello, they can never see my smile, and many times not even hear my greeting. Most cannot hear me well unless I really speak up, and I hate that. It's created a weird social vibe. Comment number 3. The children that I work with generally can't keep their masks on. It's hard, and so much time is spent dealing with the mask and not learning other things. Comment number 4. Children cannot see my mouth when trying to teach phonics. It's nearly impossible to teach young children these things properly with masks on. Comment number 5. As a teacher, it is very frustrating because I cannot hear the children, so I have to ask them to repeat everything over and over. Sometimes in order to hear them, I end up just asking them to pull the mask down anyways, so what good are the masks? Take these masks off our children today, not next year, today.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cynthia Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening. Dr. Hines, where are you? Hi, good to finally see your face. Oh, kind
Yeah,
of.
Dr. Hines is in the back.
Behind me. Hey, nice to finally see you. So it was nice to have a civil and productive conversation with the superintendent and to finally have my concerns heard on April 23rd and 26th. During our conversation, I brought up several things about bullying and would like the entire school board and the other superintendents to know and to be on board as well. Mr. Kaporsky, is he here today? Hi. I have spoken to Dr. Hines, Ms. Rubens, and I've emailed Christina Garcia about having a public workshop for all of Pinellas County to go over the policies for bullying and any recommendations that the parents, victims of bullying, and anyone else that would like to have some input on how to make the system better for the victims of bullying and the course of disciplinary consequences that the bully should receive. I would like your help to make this happen before the next school year starts. Can you help? We are still having issues with Alicia at school. On April 22nd, a child came up to Alicia and told Alicia she wanted to let her know that she overheard some children say they wanted to kill Alicia. Can you imagine as a parent hearing this after the several attacks that she's had on her? The girl doesn't know who the people are that said it. An investigation was done in the school and the child was not able to identify. If the kids were not wearing a mask, and then the other child could probably give a better description of what the bullies look like. The school has redone Alicia's safety plan, and for the next couple of weeks, she's being escorted to every class by an adult. This, as a parent, absolutely scares me that children at this age are talking about killing another student, continuously bullying the same victim, and having their friends bully the same victim. There must be stronger policies and disciplinary consequences put in place for these kinds of threats and continuous bullying, especially when now it's not just one or a couple of students doing it. Alicia has had about 10 or more students bully her, and that's continued every week. There are friends of the original bullies now going after Alicia. This is unacceptable, and there needs to be change. You have a no bullying course, and I found out it is optional if the student has bullied for them to take this course. And I and many other parents believe that this is unacceptable, that this course is not mandatory. Other parents and I have talked it over and believe that the bullies need to get a 3-day in-school suspension. During the in-school suspension, and the bullies should write an essay on bullying and the effects it has on their victims. And they should complete the No to Bullying course before they can return to class. This is one of many examples that we have that could be implemented in the disciplinary consequences that the bullies receive. Kids need to know that bullying is very serious and that if they bully, there are going to be consequences. And if they put their hands on someone, that charges will be brought against them, as I have done to every child who has put their hands on my daughter. I was made aware that there is a PowerPoint done every Monday that discusses issues going on in school. And the teachers go,
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alicia Smith.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Alicia Smith. I believe that it should be up to my parents and I if I should wear masks at school or anywhere that I go. As you already know, I was physically attacked on March 11th by a student at my school. The school staff, SRL, and myself have still not been able to identify my attacker because he was wearing a mask. On April 22nd, a student at my school approached me and informed me that she had heard other students saying that they want to kill me. After an investigation done by the SRO, the girl is unable to identify the children that said that they wanted to kill me because they were wearing a mask. I'm afraid to go to school because we can't identify these children that have physically attacked me and threatened my life. And one of the main reasons is because that they have to wear a mask. These children have gotten away with putting more fear into me to go to school. I am now extremely afraid to go to school and to get an education that I am entitled to. I now have to look over my shoulder and be escorted to every class because these children are crossing a very serious line and threatening to kill me and wanting to take my life. This is criminal, and I should not have to feel unsafe at school because of everyone having to wear a mask. This has already gotten This has already been going on over 7 weeks for me. How much longer am I going to have to live in fear with bullies wearing a mask and not being able to be identified? How long am I gonna get bullied and physically attacked because of the rules and policies that are too lenient, and these bullies can get their friends to bully and attack me too? When are you going to stand up for me and make policy change that stops this kind of behavior to happen to me and other students in Pinellas County? I know for a fact that these masks are giving the bullies a free pass to bully and physically attack students at school. Please have the courage to stand up and stop the mask mandate. If not for medical reasons, please for the safety of me and all the other students' safety in Pinellas County. Please also have the courage to stand behind me all the victims of bullying, my mom and other parents that are seeking change in school, seeking change.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Paula Stevens.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Grego. I'd like to start by letting you all know that you are appreciated. I realize you have many decisions you have to make before you, and there's no way you can make 100% of the people happy all the time. And as a classroom teacher, I want to thank you for keeping the masks on the students. This year has been challenging for all of us. Each of us has been under additional stress due to this pandemic. And as we've heard tonight, apparently adding anxiety to a lot more students than we realize. So I want to take a moment to thank all of the staff that works in social services in our schools. And they have been stretched extremely thin this year with all the needs that our students come in with. And especially our school counselors. I work at Eisenhower Elementary, and J.J. Smith is a superhero to me. I'm amazed daily at the amount of time that she is able to spend and make with our students. However, she is one counselor for over 650 students, just one. And the American School Counselor Association recommends that each school maintains a ratio of 1 to 250 students. With that, Eisenhower should have at least 2 full-time counselors and a part-time counselor that could be shared with another school. Let's see, I'm so sorry, lost my spot. In the 2018-2019 school year, Florida averaged 1 counselor for every 459 students in the state. So being that our students have had this challenging year, many, if not, will move into next year not on grade level. And this will add another difficulty on top of everything else that they've experienced in this pandemic and this unique school year and a half. So I would like you to please consider adding additional mental health support to our schools and looking at meeting the needs of the 250 students per counselor. In Missouri, they found that high poverty schools and those that met that criteria of having at least 1 professional counselor for every 250 students had better graduation rates, better school attendance, and lower disciplinary incidents. So our students have suffered a great trauma during this year. It's time to help our counselors heal our students by following the recommendations of 1 counselor per 250 students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jeffrey Caputo.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jeff Caputo, St. Petersburg. At the school board's April 23rd workshop, Dr. Kennedy stated that since the variant was responsible for COVID hospitalizations and extreme contagion, then such was a basis to keep healthy youth masked. However, publicly available data does not indicate a threat warranting masking youth. Any current stats I'm speaking of are as of Monday. Youth means ages 0 to 18 and hospitalizations means for COVID. There's been an average of only 5 youth hospitalizations per month since August 2020 in Pinellas. There are currently 5 youth hospitalizations countywide, 2 for ages 0 to 5, 2 for ages 6 to 12, and 1 for ages 13 to 18. Unless this data gleaned directly from the Florida Department of Health and Agency for Healthcare Administration is wrong, then 5 youth hospitalizations out of the 16 hospitals countywide, which may have pediatric units, does not sound like an impending crisis in pediatric COVID overwhelming the hospital capacities. Therefore, Kennedy's statement should be stricken for any consideration using youth hospitalizations as a basis to keep youth masked. Dr. Kennedy also stated how the variant could cause more spread by children in the general population. However, since the variant introduction in January, there's been a 54% decrease in youth COVID cases. I had a poster, they didn't allow it, but 54% decrease in youth COVID cases. So a drop at over 50% over the past 4 months does not sound like a super spreader. The supposition that masks are slowing the spread on school grounds is contradicted by the fact that COVID cases on Pinellas school grounds jumped 84% from September to January 2021. Pinellas students have been at a likely 100% compliance with the mandate due to the extreme threat, duress, and coercion imposed on them, but cases still jumped nearly 90% over 4 months with a very high compliance rate. Please note that alleging cases jumped due to improper masking technique can't be used. You guys obviously have people monitoring compliance. This data of Pinellas schools regarding the ineffectiveness that I just spoke of, coupled with the high compliance, has already been proven for decades with randomized control trials, or RCTs. RCTs are the gold standard of effectiveness research. The CDC in May 2020 conducted 14 RCTs spanning over 70 years, proving community masking had no substantial effects with preventing or transmitting influenza. Note that the size difference is only 0.02 between an influenza and SARS-2 particle. Those RCTs have not been retracted, as well as many other RCTs echoing the same findings that I have here. I'll be happy to send out to you. This ineffectiveness, coupled with the proven damages masks can cause physically and psychologically to children, makes for both a failed and dangerous intervention, thus having no justification, and the school board should end the mask mandate. Dr. Ali Messina, suggesting that there is no impending physical or psychological damages resulting from youth being masked consistently, it's contradicted by decades of legitimate research, which I have right here. And
right over here.
Our next speaker is Yvette Go.
Good evening.
Hello. So I'm back. And yes, I don't have children in school right now, but guess what? I see the kids and I have friends with kids. And quite honestly, after hearing all of these stories, I don't know how you guys can all go home and know that you've participated in the psychological and neurological abuse that's happening with our kids. I really feel like we're living in this alternate universe, right? Like, so I just leave the commissioner's building. They have no mask on. No one has to wear a mask when we're out in the meeting. We had over 100 of us. Literally, we're in this like alternate universe. Are y'all living in fear? Is that what's going on here? Because I honestly don't understand. Communism has come to the Pinellas County School Board. Walking in here, this is the only building in the entire county, in the entire state that I've ever been in, that I've felt unwelcome. Are y'all gonna listen? Because y'all are talking over there. I'd really like y'all to hear what I'm saying. I'd really like y'all to hear this. This place is full of masked Nazis. Oh my God, it come down below my nose. I know what these kids feel like. They're being bullied. If my kids were in a Pinellas County school right now, they would be out so fast. Are y'all not looking at the numbers? What are you doing? Hey, Bill, where's Bill? Bill, I met you. We met at the GOP meeting. We shook hands. How you doing? Nobody's wearing masks there. I met Mr. Edgards. We're all there hanging out. 100 people in the room. No one's wearing masks. We are in an alternate universe, truly. So here's the thing. Carol Cook, you know my sister-in-law, Connie Gaw, okay? I know you're a Christian. God did not give us the spirit of fear. He did not, okay? Jesus wouldn't have worn a mask, and he definitely wouldn't have gotten a vaccine, okay? I just want y'all to know that. You know, it's funny. I ask myself, do they have brains? Do they have hearts? I feel like I'm watching the cast of Wizard of Oz up here, right? Do you not? Do you not know that these kids are not being affected? Come on, you guys, 3 million people died last year. 0.00001% were children under the age of 24, and they had 2.9 comorbidities. They're not telling you that. 3 million people died. Only 9% were with the COVID, and of that 9%, it was 6%. And the average death rate was 79, with 2.9 comorbidities. What does that tell you? It says we should be talking about our immune system and not talking about social distancing, these stupid masks. These do nothing. Zero. Okay, all they're doing is hurting you guys. Your immune system is being compromised. What we need to be talking about and spending the millions of dollars that they're talking about right now, we need to be talking about exercise and vitamin D and what supplements to take instead of social distancing and putting these stupid masks on. When are you going to wake up? And how can you go to, I don't understand. I saw children walking across the street wearing masks outside, going home because they're comfortable wearing them. Something is wrong. It's called social conditioning and brainwashing.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chloe Taylor.
Good evening.
The mortality rate for kids ages 5 to 14 is 1 per 1 million. That means I have a 0.000001% risk factor of dying from COVID-19. Using the risk aversion logic that you would apply to COVID mask mandates to keep me safe, shouldn't we also be mandating that I wear a helmet in my car, water wings in my bathtub, and mandate that I only eat healthy food with my lunch? And then, like masking, should you enforce it with intimidation and letters home to my parents when they don't comply? Why are you okay with taking off your masks in the tables in a restaurant, but kids taking off their masks at their socially distanced desks are too dangerous? Why are you okay with kindergartners trying to learn the alphabet and learn to read when they can't even see their teacher's lips or their smiles? Why are you okay with principals who force kids with asthma, autism, sensory disorders to constantly keep their nose and mouth covered up because they're a danger to everyone else? Why do you hide information related to getting medical exemptions for the kids that need it? In my entire elementary school, not a single child or teacher had an exemption. Why are you okay with forcing kids to believe that's so dirty and germy that they may in fact kill someone with their nose? Why are you okay with allowing such a hostile environment where kids get bullied by teachers if they speak up for breathing fresh air? Why can we not respect each other for our differences? Why must your opinions on COVID and your fears override facts and the very real needs of the children and teachers? Why do you feel that 0.000001% is so risky that freedoms need to be taken away? P.S. You're all scared of getting this asymptomatic virus, but I have to worry about getting concussed at rugby practice every Thursday.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sweet. Is Sweet present?
I think me. No? Okay.
Our next speaker is Savannah Stephen.
She's here. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Savannah Steffen. I'm 11 years old and annoyed. At my school, I must wear a mask. Do I think it works? No. I do take off my mask during lunch, recess, and PE. During PE, all my classmates are sweaty and heavy breathing. Yet we are touching, talking, and having fun. According to the rules, we must be 3 feet, but everyone is saying 6 feet anyway. But at PE, I am not 3 feet. I am having fun with my best friend. If COVID-19 is so deadly, why haven't I gotten it? Why am I not sick? These masks do nothing. Dr. Fauci himself said people should not be walking around wearing masks. There's no reason to. He goes on saying that it might make people feel better. I have a friend who takes off his mask in class. Is he dead? No. It's hard wearing masks, and I'm seeing people in my class scared of me and my teacher. It's really weird to me. But just think of the kindergartners. They walk around wearing a mask, and they're thinking that they're super spreaders. They're probably scared of their friends. Please, I'm begging you, make masks voluntary. My dad is a school teacher, and he is forced to teach hybrid, and he comes home stressed. He's my father. I love him. PCSB gave choices of teaching online or in person. Nope, he's hybrid. They lied. People are scared of this pandemic, and it has a ripple effect on lots of other people. It's just not right. Teachers are wasting their time yelling at us about masks and staying 6 feet away from everyone instead of giving us the education we need. Speaking from a kid's view, all this is unnatural and weird. Wearing a mask is distracting, and sometimes my mask falls off. Then I'm afraid I'll get yelled at. I'll say it again and until it happens. Make masks voluntary.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Beth.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Beth. This is actually my first meeting. I am a mother of 3 daughters and a wife to 1 school teacher. Due to the mask mandate, pushing constant fear of classmates, and the emotionally harmful social distancing, we have removed our youngest daughter from Pinellas County School Board. She is being homeschooled very successfully with other homeschool children, where she is hugged and loved and is no longer subject to mask mandates that have scientifically been proven to be useless. We have a new kid now. She is happy, learning amazing curriculum, laughs, makes jokes, and is full of joy. This is a stark contrast to her from the beginning of the school year and to her sisters. Her sisters, on the other hand, are currently enrolled in Pinellas County and are confused. They're frustrated, they're struggling with academics, they're depressed, and full of anxiety. My 9th grader has asked me to relay she is concerned about the mental health of her high school friends. When I asked if they were scared of COVID, she said no. This fear-based messaging we are sending to students is having a dramatic negative effect on our kids. This current school year, with the masks, hybrid online learning that my daughter was speaking of, social distancing, and pushing fear like their classmates are all disease-infested COVID carriers, has been a disaster. It has negatively affected and continues to negatively affect our family. Speaking from personal experience, as I have worked for the county off and on for over 10 years, this quality of education is severely lacking. I am prepared to permanently remove my other 2 daughters from Pinellas County School Board, as there are far better options to educate them. You have heard from countless parents, young students, nurses, doctors, and teachers, yet you still refuse to listen. The data says that we can safely take the masks off of our kids, but you have decided to negotiate with the teachers' unions and to give in to their ridiculous demands. I hope every parent who hears this knows that you do not have the best interest of Pinellas County children in mind. You were elected to represent us. Your decisions do not represent us or our children. I hope every parent who hears this is encouraged to take their children out of public schools. Parents, you know your child best, and if they are suffering from these ridiculous masks and non-science-based social distance guidelines, take your kids out of public school. Please unmask the children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christina Campbell.
Good evening.
Hi there. My name's Christina Campbell. I have a 7th grade student over at Osceola Middle.
He has central audio processing disorder and ADHD, which is a sensory disorder. I just got him on an IEP during COVID last year after a fight trying to get him on. I just had a meeting yesterday with an IEP counselor and 6 out of 7 of his teachers. He's failing. He's failing. I'm frustrated. I've been going to the school trying to get help for him. He's got the 8 referrals this year because of his mask, and now he's become defiant. This is not the kid that he is. I have called the school. I have been on the phone with teachers. I have been emailing. I've been trying to put my ear out there, and it just seems like it's sitting. I got a call this morning from my son. He's upset because he got ABC for tomorrow because his mask was down like this. The principal made him pull it up, which is fine. You just tell him to pull it up, but to write him up and go into ABC, he's missed 22 days of school this year. This is a kid that used to get up and be at school at 8 o'clock every morning. School starts at 9:40. He hates school. I am fighting to get him out of bed every day. He hates his teachers. This kid used to love his teachers. I'm frustrated, and I'm here because I need somebody to hear what I've got to say. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm working full time. I go to school. I'm raising 2 boys at home right now by myself. And then to have this worry every time I go to school because the kid won't get up and go to school. I work down at St. Anthony's. I live in Seminole. I just can't anymore. So I'm here. I just need to let you know that this is ridiculous. The mask needs to stop. All the politics need to stop in school. Start teaching these kids because my son's failing. I can't even get him into private school right now because he's got behavioral issues in Pinellas County schools. He's got his grades, his test scores are so low. I don't know what else to do. I've hired psychiatrists or psychologists. I have gone to speech therapy, occupational therapy. I've had them tested. I've done this out of my own pocket. I have not asked the school for help. The only thing I asked the school for help was the FM system and to help me with an IEP to get him through school. I'm at the point now where he's failing. He has straight Fs. His name is Chase Cantharino. You can look him up because you will see he's never been in trouble. And this year he's got 9, today counts 9 referrals. And I can't talk to the principal. Miss Becker is just, she's set in her own ways and this is the way it is, period. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do. I'm frustrated. I am beyond frustrated right now.
Ms. Campbell, if I could ask you to, if Ms. Wright could raise her hand, I'd like for you to go back and have a conversation with her. She's the one standing up. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Our next speaker is Kristen Taylor.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, but the very first thing that you can do is get a medical exemption for that kid, so he doesn't have to wear a mask. It's so simple, medical exemptions for these kids that need them. Okay, but what I'm here to talk about, I'm going to be reading a letter on behalf of a frustrated teacher who doesn't feel comfortable showing her face up here. Dear school board, it's a shame that I'm not reading this myself. It's a shame that I myself and so many other educators are afraid of standing up in front of you in fear of retaliation, but you've conditioned us that way. And for that, shame on you. We, the teachers, not you, observe the effects of long-term masking on our kids. You never asked teachers to comment on your closed meeting last Tuesday with Dr. Allison Messina, who proposed biased, dangerous opinions on the health of our kids. You've already heard all of everybody's opinions on that, so I'm going to skip to the next paragraph. She was very offended that you go by opinions and that you don't ask the teachers. You surely don't ask the kids how they feel about needlessly wearing masks all day. Shame on you for conditioning them also into silence, as you have us teachers. They are suffering from the lack of natural social interaction with their peers. They tell me that they cannot breathe, and they cannot see the expressions on their friends' faces, and they say they are done with these masks. It is heartbreaking. They sit alone in lunchrooms lined with plexiglass, spaced out like they're being punished. It breaks my heart. My young students are deprived of seeing my expressions of excitement and adoration as they show me the growth that they've worked so hard to achieve. They sit in clinics, quarantined from human interaction when they desperately need compassion instead. Middle schoolers are threatened with detentions from teachers who have to be the mask police. Kids are fearful of asking for extra help from teachers because they've conditioned them to maintain their space and to avoid interactions. They are academically falling behind, in part by misunderstanding instruction. Masks hinder teachers' speech, and masks hinder students' comprehension. Your protocols are shortchanging our kids and opportunities to grow, learn, and develop, to resolve conflicts, and to experience joyful and spontaneous moments with their teachers and peers. As you sit listening from your elected positions, I would like to remind you that you have an obligation to the Code of Ethics and Professional Practices that we all signed at the beginning of the year. As teachers, we signed this Code of Ethics and Professional Practices, and following your mask mandates and demanding these of students does not feel ethical for us. We can't do it any longer. Sincerely, a teacher tired of being afraid. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dawn Graham.
Good
Hi.
evening.
First of all, I'd like to say that I'm not intimidated. My name is Dawn Graham. I'm a proud mother of 2 children. I am a Floridian by birth, but lived most of my life in West Virginia. The education system there is really bad. My son was bullied, and now he suffers from PTSD. We had very few choices. We decided to move to Florida so my daughter could have a good quality education in my home state, this beautiful state. When the pandemic hit, I brought my daughter to work and finished her year there. My boss is a brilliant physician who I respect immensely. I am a medical office manager. I've been in the medical field for 25 years. At first, we were scared like everyone else. We faced our fear and educated ourselves. We increased our vitamin D, zinc, and C. You continued forcing masks. We decided not to send our daughter to school and be forced to mask. My daughter sat beside me 8 hours every day with ADHD and did her schoolwork through Pinellas Virtual School. She exceeded our expectations and finished she finished the very first week of March. She is now a 5th grader with all A's and 1 B. Because of your overreach and forced masks, we have decided to homeschool our daughter. You will not continue to get funding for her. If you don't drop the forced masks, we will hit you where it hurts the most. We are mothers, fathers. You are messing with our children. We are unified. Pick your battles. I cannot wear a mask because I suffer from severe anxiety from being raped. You're forcing me to wear a mask. The last time I wore a mask, I had an asthma attack and I passed out. Our office does not force our patients to wear masks. Why? Because we have common sense. Unmask our children.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Deborah Williams.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. So I just want to start by pointing out how disturbing it is that celebrities at the Oscars the other night were free to prance around on the red carpet maskless in communist California, but children in this district can't go to school to learn and develop properly. Teachers can't instruct effectively without being told that they are required to have a piece of cloth covering their breathing, their expression, their smile, their humanity. Yet, these celebrities, because they are privileged enough to do so, in their best dressed fashion, diamonds, and makeup that took hours to do, they are permitted to work and film and can go to awards gatherings without face coverings, without issue, without anyone harassing them or police intimidating them or tackling them or their children. You tell me, what's the problem with this picture? Now we're getting somewhere. We're going to do a little critical thinking, and I want you all to pay attention, okay? If you cannot see the problem, clearly we have a bigger problem than I originally thought. The fact that you literally shut people's microphones off up here if they take their mask down to speak, but bedazzled celebrities get their acceptance speeches on stage, no one's shutting their mic off, but some reason you do that to us here, parents that are actually speaking up for our children. What is wrong with this picture? It's despicably controlling behavior on every single one of your parts, and you're all a part of it. If you cannot be the ones to do what is right, to use critical thinking and common sense, when so-called guidelines just are not adding up anymore, and not only that, but they're causing far more issues than they ever claim to help, who will? In the effort to flatten one curve, you have completely disregarded dozens of other vitally important issues, and you have helped to cause many other curves to spike. Youth suicide, anxiety, depression, developmental delay, social and emotional deprivation, just to name a few. I shouldn't have to be standing here right now asking you to do your jobs and put the children's needs and best interests first. You should all be the ones advocating for our children, but instead you're subjecting them to daily difficulty and harm in the name of image and political correctness, according to some completely backwards cult-like narrative. But here I am, here we all are, because of our children, our future. They are at cost. Today. Now. We refuse to let you cross these boundaries that are not yours and were never yours to cross. We refuse to allow you to continue to use and abuse and exploit these children and these teachers. We refuse to allow you to keep robbing families and individuals of choice and sovereignty. We stand for them, with them, and we will continue to, until these individuals' basic human rights are restored. How dare you rob them of the ability to say, no, this is hurting me, psychologically manipulate them to convince them this is for the greater good, condition these individuals that it is normal to be irrationally afraid of each other on a daily basis, and lie about the amount of communication that you've received from the parents asking for school mask face covering choice? How dare you?
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Melissa Wood.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Wood, and I am a proud kindergarten teacher. I teach children every day, and I am so grateful to teach them without a mask and to allow these little children to be educated without a mask. I moved from California with my family because my teenage girls were seeing their friends committing suicide. Do you know what's going on in California? Do you know how much children are suffering? I moved here because Floridians are stronger. I believe you are putting children first here. California has forgotten their children. There is mass homelessness in the streets. I could not send my children out to ride their bikes to school. And I came here because I believe all of you believe in the education of our children. You believe because we were given a good education. We were given the opportunity to learn from teachers who could show their loving faces every day. We were given that opportunity, and we owe it to these children. Do not become California. Do not forget what these children need. They need educators that don't say, you have to protect us, we have to protect them. This is our job. We are educators, we are teachers. You, all of you, I know you believe in education. And I know you were given a good education because you didn't have to sit in a classroom every day wearing a mask and a teacher just focusing on making sure they're wearing a mask. My daughter went into the lunch line not knowing anyone. She's come without a friend, and she was told by the lunch lady, stay 6 feet apart from all the children around you. She has not met anyone, made a friend since she's come here, yet bravely she gets up and goes to school every day because she hopes that you all will do what California has not done, and that is put these children first. I don't want to Californianize Florida, no, because I see what we have done to our children there. And I know you are better here. I know you are. You might have children or grandchildren. This is not the world that they should live in. We should give all children the opportunity to go to school without masks, to see the loving face and the encouraging face of their teachers, and not to be educated in fear, and be able to make friends if they're new, and not hear that a friend has committed suicide because they feel like there isn't a future. They see the world changing and they don't think it will go back to what we had. Why are we not fighting for that for our children? I'm trying to. In my little classroom, I am not afraid of getting sick because I know how to work on my immune system. And thank God these parents are sending their children to me.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Matt Fox. Our next speaker is Kristen Strecker.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is Kristen. I was born in this county. I went to school in this county and now have 4 children that will be going through this school system. My 2 high schoolers have been doing my PCS due to this mandate. My IB student cries. Imagine trying to learn French on a computer with a masked teacher. I finally had to put them back to in-person learning after my daughter was about to flunk out of the IB program that she worked so hard to get into. I had to choose between her getting dizzy, lightheaded, and headaches, or her flunking out of IB. No parent should ever have to make a decision like that. I'm here to request that masks are made optional in the fall. Now, that doesn't mean that you would be banning masks. People, teachers, students can still wear masks if they choose to. We're asking for the ability to make our own personal choices for our children. I have already made the choice for my 2 younger children. They will be attending private school this fall. But I really do not want to remove my high schoolers. But I will. I will if I have to. Leave medical and health decisions up to the parents, period. It can't be COVID only and we forget everything else. There are other things we have to focus on as well. It can't be COVID, COVID, COVID and forget suicide, forget depression, forget anxiety. It can't be at all costs. Please remember, you are not our leaders. You're supposed to be our representatives. I certainly have not felt that way for the last 10 months. We just want them to be optional. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Judah Kay.
Good evening.
Want me to start? Is it okay if I start?
Yes.
Okay. I had no intention of coming up here. I just came to support local families. I sat in that chair and I just cried of gratitude because I have my daughters. I have 4 children. Both of my daughters are in a school where masks aren't mandated, and it just breaks my heart because I've been kind of blind to hear like these kids that have to go and suffer and struggle, and so I cried out of gratitude and joy that I've been in this like bubble that everything's okay in the world, and clearly it's not. This is Judah. He wants to introduce himself.
My name is Jude, and I'm 5 years old, and I just come to say that the mask should be oval. I beg you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Aaliyah Kench.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Leah Kent, and the first thing I want to say is I'm sorry, Alicia, and how things are happening right now. That's really sad. I know how you feel, and you're doing amazing. But what else I'd like to talk about is in school today. Since January, I've been caught 4 times, only 4, and I've been caught with my mask down under my nose, and they sent me to online learning. and I broke down, and I was like struggling to breathe because of the mask, so I had to go to the bathroom. And then I got in trouble for being late to class after she wrote my pass because I was trying to recatch my breath. And then all the times before I've been caught, they wrote me up for it. I've been targeted by my reading teacher, and she has, like, whenever she tries to talk to us, she pulls her mask down to talk to us. But when I pull my mask down from under my nose for like 15 seconds and that's it, I get in trouble. And she sent me to the office for it, and it's just crazy to me because I've never experienced anything like this. Like, none of us young kids really have. And then it's crazy that we just got canceled from school, and then we all struggled. We were all struggling, and a lot of kids still are online. But the fact that they can't, and then when they do, they get in trouble for trying to breathe and trying to get their breath. And then in class, when we try to drink water, we are not allowed to because we're not allowed to pull our mask down. So if we want to drink water, we have to go outside the classroom and drink it, or we have to go in the hallway and just catch our breath or whatever. And all we really want is a choice to wear masks. If that's the main priority, just having a choice would help so much. And the flag outside your building means, the American flag means freedom, and masks are not freedom for us. They make it their struggle, and we are it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. And if you could just give us the option, it helps so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jeremy Kench.
Good evening.
Good evening. I came here, different mask, trying to come here with a different attitude tonight. I'm trying not to look behind me. Like I've said, anxiety runs through my family. I was refused to speak here. It has been chaotic ever since. Your officer sent me out. We've been through all this. My family came back. Your officers attacked my daughter, attacked my wife. That was the daughter that y'all attacked, all right? It's the first time she's gotten a chance to come in here. They're not writing speeches. They're not trying to attack y'all. They want an education. Now my daughter was just told that she's not allowed to return back to school because she takes a math break. They fall down. You guys are doing it. We don't care. You know what I mean? You need a break. You need a break. You want to wear it. You want to wear it. If you don't, you shouldn't have to. That's our dang rights. You're taking my civil rights away from me and my family. Now she's having anxiety attacks sitting here trying to explain that to her yourself. I deal with this. I've been struggling. I can't look behind me because that man if he's even here, I don't want to, white flag. Try not to go through that. Look how many more people keep coming to this dang thing. How many more do you guys really need or want? We're going to keep coming. I mean, do we got to become a Black Lives Matter protest? Come up in here, run the building down, start pillaging everything, burn this building down, and we get praised because that's a peaceful protest? We're in here begging you guys peacefully. Give us our rights. Do the right thing. Charge the people that are doing the wrong thing. Bullies in the schools, all this other bullcrap. When your officers are bullies and attacking innocent children and women over defending another lady because she was harassed because she took her mask down and said, I'm done. Put your mask on or you got to leave. She got to your hallway and your officer said, you have to put that mask on or you cannot leave. On video. We have all this and I keep begging with y'all. Waiting for a court date still. Keeps getting postponed. We can let a jury see this. I mean, I'm trying to get you guys to step up, do the damn right thing, apologize to some people, and do what's best for everybody. Not just because scientists, you know what I mean? They're going to plead and tell you whatever the hell the person that's paying them wants them to. They don't give a shit about this. They want their pockets filled. Is that what you guys want? Is that what's happening here? Because you don't give a crap about us and us parents. These are our kids. They want a school. My daughter's being kicked out now. No, she's going to go to school tomorrow. And if that school tells me that she can't go because she took a mask break, what's up? My daughter will graduate. She's ready to go to Tarpon. She wants to stay here, and be a vet. And this school now wants to kick her out second time. for all this bull crap so she can start failing again when she's got her grades up excellent, ready to go for this thing and become something she wants to be. And you want to take that dream from her. Where the hell are our rights, people? I mean, I almost want to just sit here and just stand in dead silence for 3 minutes, or I'm ready to just, get kids, let's protest. All the kids go to school and just go on strike. Don't come into school no more. I'm ready to quit my job just to be there and put 110 into this.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katie Malley.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Katie Malley. I am a chiropractor and a functional medicine practitioner. I don't have kids, but I feel like it's that important for me to be here. There is numerous evidence that shows that masks do not stop or slow the spread of a virus. Not only is there evidence to show that, but there's actually evidence that shows the harm. Children are not spreaders, and the data shows that. Kids used to be told to play in the dirt, to get dirty, and to build their immune systems naturally. Now we're putting masks over them all day. They're going to touch their faces more when that happens. Kids depend on audio cues, visual cues. They need to see smiles. They need to learn emotions. This is a huge part of their development, and we're taking that from them. You can see from the many stories tonight how much that's affecting not only the kids, but their parents as well. Wearing face masks there are studies that show causing anxiety, depression, shortness of breath, immunosuppression, headaches, fatigue, decline in cognitive performance. Are you willing to accept liability for this? You have the opportunity to change this. At least give them the choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker this evening is Marie Eide.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here to speak on a different topic, and others in my group spoke earlier, but I was late. I would just like you all to please preserve, rather than your original plan to sell the West Klosterman property to developers who are almost guaranteed to put between 70 and 100 multifamily units on 14 acres. I would like you, I'm sure everybody has been speaking about the environmental impact of this, but I would also like you to think, if you've been to the North Pinellas area, if you've tried to go to this property, I'd like you to think about all the extra traffic on 2-lane Klosterman Road and 2-lane alternate 19. Our local resources and infrastructure are already stretched with developments just north of Advent Hospital and the planned developments along Belcher and alternate 19 to the south. Our wildlife cannot take any more development either. Scientists our volunteers hired have, with the school board permission, surveyed the property and determined it has a number of gopher tortoise burrows, as well as at least one extremely rare Florida rosemary plant. They've also discovered chert, signs of ancient people's tool-making skills. I would urge you, please, to come visit the property. Everyone who has visited this property has had their mind changed. We invite you, we who work for the, or volunteer for the West Klosterman Preservation Group. Thank you kindly.
Thank you. That's it. Then this will end the public participation portion of the evening. Thank you very much.